Welcome. I'm truly grateful to have you here. Please, make yourself comfortable and take your time. This story was crafted with care, dedication, and deep respect for your attention. I hope it brings you joy, reflection, and perhaps even a touch of nostalgia. Once again, thank you for sharing a moment of your day with me. The year is 1888, and you are in London. A sharp, acrid taste assaults your tongue, cutting through the chill that clings to your throat. It's the raw, metallic tang of coal smoke, thick and gritty, coating your teeth like a fine, invisible dust. But beneath that industrial bite, something else wriggles. A cloying sweetness that turns sickly, a sourness that prickles the back of your nose. It's the unmistakable, decaying scent of damp earth, stagnant water, and perhaps something worse, something organic and long dead, all churned into the very air you breathe. You've swallowed it. You feel it settling deep in your chest, a heavy, cold knot. The fog is an unwelcome companion tonight, a living shroud that presses in from all sides, turning the gaslight street lamps into fuzzy, jaundiced halos. You reach out, your gloved hand disappearing almost instantly into the swirling gray-yellow murk. Each breath is shallow, a conscious effort, as the damp chill seeps through your thick wool coat and gnaws at your bones. The cobblestones beneath your worn boots are slick, treacherous. You can't quite trust your footing. Each step a cautious shuffle, your senses straining against the suffocating blanket around you. The muffled clatter of a distant hansom cab, the ghostly echo of a newsboy's cry, the phantom rustle of unseen skirts passing just inches away. They're all warped, distorted by the fog, making it impossible to pinpoint their origin. You hear a cough, closer this time, a deep, rattling hack that speaks of illness and desperation. You instinctively pull your collar higher, tightening the scarf around your neck, though you know it's futile against this pervasive chill. Your eyes sting from the smoke, watering slightly, blurring the already indistinct shapes that occasionally emerge from the gloom. A fleeting silhouette of a top hat, a flash of a tattered shawl, then gone, swallowed again by the impenetrable curtain. You press a hand to your stomach, a hollow ache growing there, a hunger that no amount of this foul air can satiate. The cold is a constant, biting presence, but it's the damp that truly chills you to the core, a wet, heavy cold that seems to penetrate directly into your marrow. You shiver, a full-body tremor that shakes you from head to foot. A faint, almost imperceptible tremor runs through the ground beneath you, the rumble of an underground train passing far below, a subterranean beast stirring in the darkness. You pause, leaning against the cold, grimy brick of a building, feeling the vibration resonate up through your arm. Your fingers graze something wet and slimy on the wall, moss perhaps, or something far less benign. You quickly pull your hand away, a fresh wave of revulsion washing over you, mingling with the bitter taste in your mouth. You want to see, to understand, but the fog denies you everything, leaving you adrift in a world of indistinct sensations and creeping unease. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. I'm curious, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it there? Share in the comments. It's strange how something as simple as the air we breathe can carry so many stories, so much history, so much sorrow. A distinct, unsettling sound cuts through the otherwise muffled din of the fog-choked street. It's not the clop of a horse, or the familiar crunch of heavy boots on wet cobblestones. No, this is different. It's a rhythmic, almost impossibly light tap, tap, tap as if someone is walking with a delicate yet unnervingly deliberate pace. A sound that seems too precise, too measured for these uneven streets. You freeze, your hand still damp from the grimy wall, your breath hitching in your throat. The sound seems to draw closer, each tap a tiny hammer against the taut string of your nerves. It's not echoing. It's just there, moving, originating from somewhere just beyond the impenetrable gray veil that surrounds you. You strain your ears, trying to locate its source, your head turning slowly, cautiously, left then right, but the fog distorts all direction. Your eyes dart, attempting to pierce the gloom, to catch any shift in the swirling patterns of vapor, but there is only more gray, more damp, more unseen. You press yourself further into the recess of the building, the cold brick biting through your coat, a desperate attempt to become invisible. The sound isn't hurried, isn't panicked, which somehow makes it worse. It's too steady, too patient. It's the sound of someone who knows exactly where they are going, or perhaps exactly what they are looking for. A shiver, colder than the London air, traces a path down your spine. The tapping pauses. Just for a moment. The sudden silence is heavier, more profound than any noise, amplifying the frantic thump of your own heart against your ribs. You hold your breath, listening so intently your ears begin to ache. Then, the sound resumes, closer now, unmistakably closer. You can almost feel the vibrations of those light, rhythmic steps through the cobblestones, a phantom pulse beneath your feet. It's coming from your left, moving slowly but inexorably towards you, a methodical, unseen approach. Your muscles tense, ready to spring, but where would you go? The fog offers no escape, no clear path, only more indistinguishable uncertainty. You can feel the hairs on your arms rising, a primal instinct is screaming at you to run. But your feet feel rooted to the spot, caught in a bizarre paralysis. The smell of coal and decay seems to intensify, clinging to your nostrils, a fitting backdrop to this moment of pure, unadulterated unease. The tapping stops directly in front of you. You can almost feel the presence, a breath held just beyond your sight, waiting. It's unsettling to realize how much we rely on our sight, and how truly vulnerable we become when the world around us is reduced to mere whispers, and the terrifying rhythm of an unseen presence. You feel the biting cold of the earth against your bare fingertips. It's a sharp, almost shocking sensation, as if the ground itself is exhaling an icy breath directly onto your skin. The soil is damp, clinging stubbornly under your nails, a mixture of fine grit and stubborn, heavy clay. A faint, earthy aroma rises, mingled with the unmistakable, slightly pungent, and altogether humble smell of cabbage. It's a raw, elemental scent, far from the acrid coal smoke of the city. Yet it carries its own distinct weight, a promise of something ancient and rooted. You're kneeling, or perhaps just crouching low, in a patch of ground that must once have been a small garden. The air here, though still frigid, feels cleaner, thinner, devoid of the city's thick industrial breath. Above you, the night sky is a bruised purple, glimpsed only in fleeting patches between the scudding clouds. The weak, watery glow of a single lantern held by an unseen hand nearby casts long, dancing shadows that make the familiar shapes of dormant bushes and brittle, dead stalks seem like monstrous, waiting figures. You're not alone. You can sense other hushed presences, their quiet breathing and the rustle of their rough fabrics barely audible against the subtle whisper of the cold wind through skeletal branches. Your task is simple, yet laden with a heavy, unspoken expectation. You reach deeper into the cold, dark soil, your fingers seeking the hidden root. It's a strange, almost intimate act, this blind search in the earth. You feel the rough, fibrous stem, cool and firm, resistant to your tug. You pull, slowly at first, then with a surge of quiet effort, the ground releasing its hold with a soft, sucking sound. The root comes free, bringing with it a clump of dark, clinging earth and the distinct, dense aroma of the cabbage. You hold it up, turning it over in your chilled hands, your eyes straining in the dim light to decipher its form. The bulbous base is irregular, misshapen, streaked with dark lines and gnarled protrusions. Each twist and turn, each strange offshoot, is supposed to tell a story, a dark prophecy of a future spouse, their wealth, their temperament, their very appearance. The weight of it feels surprisingly heavy in your palm. Is this thick, stubby root a sign of a prosperous farmer, or a gnarled, twisted one a foreboding of a cruel, bent spirit? The cold of the root seeps into your skin, a chilling connection to the earth, to the unknown. You can feel the quiet, expectant gazes of those around you, their collective hope and dread hanging in the cold, still air. The raw, vegetative smell of the root fills your senses, a pungent reminder of the earthy mysteries you're attempting to uncover. It's astonishing how deeply we yearn for answers, even when those answers are whispered by the cold earth and the misshapen roots of a humble plant. You feel the profound, enveloping warmth, a heavy blanket of comfort radiating from the roaring hearth, a stark, blissful contrast to the icy grip of the London night you just endured outside. The air here, within the stout stone walls of this humble dwelling, smells distinctly of seasoned oak and pine, a rich, resinous aroma that intermingles with the faint, comforting scent of simmering stew from a pot hanging over the dancing flames. The steady crackle and sudden pop of burning logs are the predominant sounds, a rhythmic, almost hypnotic whisper that seems to slow your own breathing, drawing you deeper into the quiet, almost sacred space by the fire. You're settled on a low wooden stool, or perhaps just hunkered down comfortably on the worn, woolen hearth rug, your gaze fixed, almost magnetically, on the glowing heart of the fire. The larger logs have mostly burned down, leaving behind a bed of deep, smoldering red embers that pulse with an internal, living light, like the slow, steady beat of a hidden heart. Tiny, brilliant sparks occasionally leap upwards, dancing like frantic, captured fireflies before vanishing into the smoke-stained cavern of the chimney. Your eyes trace the ever-changing patterns within the dying fire, seeing ephemeral landscapes of glowing crimson, fleeting mountains of fine gray ash, and deep valleys of impenetrable shadow. It's a truly hypnotic display, an ancient art, this gazing intently into the flickering flames, searching for a glimpse of what might be to come. It begins subtly, a mere trick of the eye, a nuanced play of heat and shadow, a fleeting distortion in the shimmering air above the intensely hot coals. You blink, once, twice, trying to clear your vision, convinced it's simply fatigue or the persistent smoke from the hearth stinging your eyes. But the nascent, unformed features persist, refusing to vanish. A soft indentation, a hollow suggesting a future eye, then a gentle, upward curve that distinctly might be a brow, taking shape within the orange glow. You lean closer, your posture tensing, your breathing shallow and quiet as you try to coax the ethereal image into full clarity. Is it merely a product of your own fervent hope and deep apprehension, or is something truly manifesting, taking form, in the incandescent heart of the hearth? The glowing shapes coalesce further, gaining a fleeting, almost undeniable solidity. A sharp, almost elegant line emerges, suggesting a strong jaw, followed by the soft, rounded contour of a distinct chin. Then, a mouth appears, a faint, delicate line that seems to twist, just barely, into what could be a wistful smile, or perhaps a hint of something far more melancholic and knowing. The features are maddeningly elusive, always shimmering at the very edge of perception, forever on the verge of full, undeniable clarity, only to ripple and distort back into the abstract, undulating dance of light and shadow. You try desperately to hold the image, to etch its phantom details into your mind, but the intense, rising heat creates a constant, subtle distortion, like looking through troubled, moving water. Is this truly the face of the one you are destined to meet, the person who will shape your future? A man? A woman? The gender, the age, the specific character of the face remains frustratingly indistinct, yet the sense of a presence, a distinct person, is undeniably strong, pulling at something deep within you. A sudden, sharp hiss and a violent shower of vivid red sparks erupt from the dying embers, making you flinch involuntarily, your intense concentration utterly broken. When your eyes, now slightly unfocused, return to the hearth, the face is completely gone, utterly dissolved back into the primal, shifting forms of fire and ash. Only the familiar, comforting glow remains, the endless, indifferent dance of light and shadow, now seemingly devoid of any profound, hidden meaning. The sharp, sudden thud against the windowpane above makes you jump, a jolt of raw alarm shooting through your chest. It's followed instantly by the sickening crack of glass, then a spray of fine, gritty fragments that rain down onto the damp cobblestones near where you stand. You flinch, pressing yourself back against the cold, rough brick of the alley wall, your heart hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. The smell of cold, broken glass, faintly metallic and dusty, pricks your nostrils, mingling with the pervasive dampness and the faint, unsettling scent of stagnant water from a nearby drain. Then, the laughter. It erupts from the shadows down the street, a cacophony of shrill, high-pitched shrieks and deeper, guttural guffaws. It's not joyful, nor truly menacing, but something wilder, untamed, the unbridled glee of release, of rules utterly cast aside. The sounds echo strangely in the narrow thoroughfare, bouncing off the tenement walls, making it impossible to pinpoint exactly how many voices are involved, or where they're truly coming from. You imagine a group of figures, indistinct in the deepening gloom, their shapes made monstrous by the flickering gaslight at the corner. You dare a cautious peek around the edge of the alley's entrance, your breath held tight. What you glimpse are fleeting movements. A dark form darting across the street, a flash of white as something is thrown, perhaps a sack of flour, leaving a ghostly smudge against a closed shop door. Another thud, heavier this time, suggests something larger has been dislodged, perhaps a market stall sign, pulled down with malicious intent. The laughter swells again, closer now, a chorus of reckless abandon that sends a cold tremor through you. These aren't the drunken ramblings of late-night revelers. This is a deliberate, orchestrated chaos, a dark performance unfolding under the cloak of night. You see a brief interaction. Two shadows briefly merge. A quick shove. A shared, silent gesture. Then they break apart, melting back into the darkness. There's a frantic, almost gleeful energy to their movements. A palpable buzz that seems to vibrate through the very air. You pull your head back, flattening yourself against the brick once more, trying to make yourself as small and unseen as possible. Your mind races, trying to make sense of this raw, unrestrained aggression. This isn't just harmless fun. It feels like the edges of order are fraying, that something more dangerous than simple mischief could easily erupt from this fertile ground of wanton destruction. The cold seeps into your back, but it's the unsettling thrill of witnessing such raw, anarchic energy that truly holds you captive. A strange blend of fear and morbid fascination. You can taste the metallic tang of fear in your own mouth, a counterpoint to the distant, echoing laughter that continues to pierce the night. The city feels alive with a different kind of life tonight, a dark, pulsing undercurrent of defiance. The sudden, explosive Sirac is far louder, far more violent than anything before. It's not a mere thud or a muffled breakage. It's the sharp, sickening sound of an entire pane of glass giving way, shattering into 1,000 fragments with an almost deafening report that rips through the night's damp air. You instinctively throw your arms up, ducking your head, a primal scream catching in your throat as the sound reverberates, painful and immediate, right through your skull. A blast of bitterly cold air rushes past you, carrying with it a faint metallic dust, and the chilling sensation of unseen particles skittering across your coat, perhaps even brushing your exposed skin. You feel a tiny, almost imperceptible prickle on your cheek, a microscopic shard from the explosion. The stench of broken glass, a sharp, clean kind of destruction, momentarily overwhelms the familiar London damp. Your heart pounds, a frantic drumbeat against your ribs, and your ears ring with the lingering echo of the crash. You drop your hands, your eyes wide, scanning the darkness. Just ahead, where a moment ago there was the dull, unbroken surface of a shop window, now gapes a jagged, gaping maw. Moonlight, thin and watery, manages to seep through the newly created hole, illuminating the sharp, glinting edges of remaining glass like monstrous broken teeth. On the cobblestones below, a wide fan of glittering, dangerous shards lies scattered, reflecting the distant gaslight in 1,000 fractured points. It's a scene of utter, violent ruin. And then, the sound that follows isn't one of alarm or regret, but a renewed burst of raucous, almost hysterical laughter. It's closer now, right across the street, full of a manic energy that suggests a shared, dark triumph. You can almost feel their collective breath, their panting excitement, though you still can't quite make out their faces in the deepest shadows. A silhouette, tall and gaunt, briefly raises an arm in a gesture of wild glee, then another smaller figure jumps up and down, a shadow puppet of unbridled joy. This isn't a game. This is a declaration, a deliberate act of defiance against the very fabric of order. A low, guttural moan escapes from inside the newly breached shop, quickly followed by the distinct, frantic scuffle of movement. Someone is inside, awake, and now utterly vulnerable. You shrink back even further into the narrow alley, trying to merge with the cold, unyielding brick, your own breath coming in ragged gasps. The shattering of glass wasn't just a sound. It was the violent tearing of a veil, revealing a darker, more dangerous reality just beneath the surface of this Halloween night. You taste the sharp iron tang of fear in your mouth, a visceral response to the raw, unbridled destruction you've just witnessed. The fragility of everything feels suddenly, terrifyingly real. You plunge your bare hands into the bowl, and the fine, soft powder of flour immediately coats your skin. It's dry, almost cool, clinging to your fingers, a comforting, familiar texture. Then, the sharp, crystalline grains of salt spill in, mingling with the flour, adding a grittier, harsher feel. You begin to mix, your fingers working the dry ingredients, feeling the resistance as they combine. There's no chatter, no whispered jokes, just the soft, almost imperceptible whisper of the flour against the earthenware bowl. A sound, amplified in the profound silence of the room. Your breathing feels loud, sudden, almost intrusive. The single candle on the rough wooden table casts long, flickering shadows, making the familiar kitchen seem vast and strange. You can feel the quiet presence of others around you, their silhouettes indistinct in the dim light, their breathing as hushed and careful as your own. The unspoken rule of the ritual presses down, a heavy weight, forbidding even the slightest cough or sigh. This silence isn't empty. It's thick with anticipation, with unspoken questions hanging in the chill air. You add water, slowly, carefully, watching as the dry ingredients transform. The flour turns sticky, then elastic, pulling at your hands, clinging to your skin. The coldness of the water makes your fingertips ache, but you continue to knead, feeling the dough take on a firm, heavy consistency. The smell is plain, unadorned. Raw flour and the sharp tang of salt, surprisingly potent in the quiet. You press, fold, and turn, shaping the dumb cake, so named because no word must be spoken during its creation. Each movement is deliberate, precise, a silent prayer infused into the unbaked mass. Finally, the small, flat cake is formed. You place it carefully onto a baking sheet, the metal cold against your sensitive fingertips, before sliding it into the cooling embers of the hearth. The heat radiates immediately, a deep, comforting warmth that briefly pushes back the encroaching chill. You watch, transfixed, as the edges begin to stiffen, a faint, dry aroma now replacing the raw, damp smell. The silence persists, a shared burden, an intense focus. You wait for it to cook, feeling the subtle shifts in temperature, the tension in your shoulders, the almost painful stillness of everyone around you. The crackle of a settling ember seems to explode in the hushed room, making you jump slightly, the only outward sign of your frayed nerves. When it's ready, removed with careful, silent movements, you break off a small, hardened piece. You raise it to your lips, the texture rough, gritty. The taste is profoundly, shockingly salty, an almost unbearable bitterness that floods your mouth, making your eyes water involuntarily. It's meant to be that way, to induce a thirst, a longing, for what comes next. As you swallow, a dry, scratchy sensation scrapes down your throat, a final sensory assault before the night's deeper mysteries begin. The intense salt lingers, a constant reminder of the quiet yearning you hold. It's curious how much meaning we assign to silence, how we fill its emptiness with our deepest hopes and fears believing it can unlock the unseen. The raw, burning sensation of salt still clings stubbornly to your tongue, an arid ghost in your mouth. Your throat is parched, a dry, scratchy cavern that begs for water. But you resist, clenching your jaw. The ritual demands it. You lie stiffly in your bed, or perhaps on a rough pallet, the cold night air seeping through the thin blankets, yet a deeper, internal fire of thirst consumes you. The room is utterly, oppressively dark. The single candle, lit for the dumb cake, was extinguished ages ago, leaving behind only the faint, stale scent of burnt wick, and a blackness so profound it feels like a heavy cloth pressed against your eyes. You strain against the darkness, your eyelids aching from the effort to discern even the faintest glimmer. There is nothing. Just the deep velvet black. The only sounds are the frantic beat of your own heart against your ribs and the shallow, careful whisper of your breath, amplified in the suffocating silence. You are not allowed to speak, not to drink, not to give in to sleep, for it is in this liminal state, this uncomfortable edge of awareness, that the future is supposed to reveal itself. Every muscle in your body is tense, aching from the enforced stillness, from the relentless gnawing of thirst. As minutes stretch into what feels like hours, a strange weariness begins to set in, blurring the edges of your perception. Your eyes play tricks on you, conjuring fleeting specks of light, wisps of imagined smoke, only for them to vanish the moment you try to focus. The salt taste has evolved, now a bitter, metallic tang that makes your stomach churn. You close your eyes tightly, then open them again, forcing yourself to remain alert, to pierce the shroud. And then, it happens. At the very periphery of your vision, where the bed curtains meet the wall, a slight distortion appears. It's not a definite shape, not a solid form, but a subtle deepening of the already intense gloom, a patch of shadow that seems to gather and coalesce, becoming more opaque than the surrounding darkness. You stare, unblinking, your breath catching. It seems to rise, slowly, almost imperceptibly, taking on a height, a vague contour that might suggest shoulders, a head. Your heart leaps, a sudden, violent thrumming that shakes your entire chest. Is this it? Is this the shadow of your future lover, come to visit you in the deepest hour of the night? You try to shift your gaze directly, to bring the elusive form into sharper focus, but the moment you move your eyes, the shadow wavers, dissolves, becoming once again just a featureless patch of darkness, indistinguishable from the rest of the room. You blink rapidly, willing it to return, to solidify. You wait, held captive by the hope and the fear, straining every nerve. But it remains just an impression, a cruel trick of tired eyes and an overactive mind, a longing made manifest in the blackness. The intense, unquenchable thirst in your throat feels like a physical ache of disappointment, a hollowness that echoes the absence you just perceived. It's a curious truth how our desperate desires, sharpened by ritual and deprivation, can conjure such vivid illusions from the deepest, most profound darkness. A sudden, jarring thud reverberates through the quiet stillness of your small house, making you flinch, your entire body tensing rigid against the thin mattress. It's a knock, yes, but not the polite, hesitant tap of a late caller. This is heavy, deliberate, a series of solid impacts against the aged oak of the front door downstairs. Thud. 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 Each one echoes up the narrow stairwell, vibrating subtly through the very floorboards beneath you, disturbing the fragile peace of the deep night. You sit upright instantly, your breath catching in your throat, eyes wide open in the oppressive darkness of your room. The lingering taste of the dumb cake salt still prickles your tongue, an arid ghost amplifying the sudden, unwelcome intrusion. You strain your ears, trying to discern any other sound, any rustle or whispered movement, but there is only the unsettling silence of the house, now punctuated by the incessant knocking. Who could possibly be at your door at such an hour? The thought sends a cold shiver racing down your spine, colder than the draft seeping in from the ill-fitting window frames. The knocks grow more insistent, more demanding. Not faster, but heavier, as if the person on the other side is leaning into each blow, determined to gain entry. Mang bang. Mang bang. Now they possess a more aggressive quality, a palpable impatience that makes your stomach clench. You picture the heavy, iron knocker striking the weathered wood, a sound that promises no good news, no friendly visit. Your heart begins to pound, a frantic drum against your ribs, mimicking the rhythm of the uninvited guest at your threshold. You pull the rough wool blanket tighter around you, seeking a futile comfort against the encroaching unease. You swing your legs out of bed, your bare feet meeting the shockingly cold floorboards. Each creak of the old wood beneath your weight seems deafening in the profound silence between the knocks. You move slowly, cautiously, towards your bedroom door, your hand reaching for the latch, but hesitating before you touch it. You can almost feel the presence of the knocker, a persistent, unseen force, just beyond the thick wood of your front door. There's a certain desperation in their rhythm now, a slight, almost imperceptible shift in the timing, as if they are testing your resolve, waiting for a sign of life. A faint, almost metallic smell seems to cling to the air, perhaps the cold dampness of the London night itself, or something else carried on the unseen caller's clothes. You strain to hear voices, any clue as to who might be out there, but there is only the relentless, demanding rack. Crack. Crack. Asterisks of knuckles or a heavy ring against wood. It's a sound that demands attention, yet offers no comfort, no explanation. It feels like a threat, a dark accusation echoing in the dead of night, pulling you inexorably towards an unwelcome confrontation. There's a strange vulnerability in being awakened like this, in having your quiet, private space so violently invaded by a sound. It strips away the illusion of safety, leaving you exposed to the unseen world beyond your door. The ancient, groaning hinges of the front door scrape a dry, protesting shriek as you slowly, tentatively pull it inward just a crack. A sudden, sharp gust of frigid air immediately blasts into your face, carrying with it the undeniable acrid scent of damp wool, cold soot, and the lingering metallic tang of the London streets. It's a smell that promises nothing good, an invasive breath from the hostile night. You flinch, instinctively pulling back, your heart giving a violent lurch against your ribs. Standing on your doorstep, starkly silhouetted against the murky, fog-filtered glow of a distant gaslight, are two figures. They are unnervingly still, their presence a solid, unmoving block in the swirling dampness. And then you see them, the masks. These aren't the simple, festive disguises of children, or the playful adornments of a masquerade. No, these are crude, unsettling constructions. One appears to be a monstrous, distorted animalistic visage, its features stretched and exaggerated into a silent, grotesque snarl. The other, an equally disturbing human face, its painted eyes wide and empty, its mouth a perpetually open, silent scream. They are crafted from rough fabric, perhaps papier-mâché, and stained with dark, undefined pigments, giving them a heavy, permanent quality. You expect a sound, a chuckle, a playful demand, perhaps the traditional trick-or-treat. You brace yourself for a laugh, a gesture of recognition, the moment they will surely tear away their crude coverings to reveal a familiar, human face underneath. But there is nothing, only their profound, unnerving silence. They simply stand there, motionless, their masked faces turned towards you, utterly devoid of expression. The absence of movement, the complete lack of interaction, is more terrifying than any sudden lunge or guttural growl. It is a waiting, an observing, that feels deeply, fundamentally wrong. The cold from outside seems to seep past you, infiltrating the warmth of your small home, a tangible invasion. Your throat feels impossibly dry, still raw from the ritual's salt, and you find yourself unable to utter a single word, even if you dared to try. Their eyes, or rather the dark, cavernous holes, cut for eyes in the masks, seem to bore into you with an ancient, knowing emptiness. You can't read anything in their posture, no hint of playfulness, no malice, just an absolute, chilling stillness. The air grows heavy, thick with unspoken questions, and a mounting, suffocating dread. The only sound is the rhythmic drip of water from the eaves, and the frantic, echoing beat of your own heart in your ears. A shiver, deeper than the cold, travels down your spine. This isn't a game. This isn't a costume. These faces chew their faces tonight, fixed and unyielding, offering no glimpse of the humanity beneath. You feel a sudden, overwhelming urge to slam the door shut, to barricade yourself against this unsettling, silent intrusion, but your hand, still gripping the cold doorknob, feels rooted, paralyzed by the sheer, unblinking intensity of their masked gaze. The fear is a sharp, metallic taste in your mouth now, cold and undeniable. These aren't people playing at ghosts. They are the ghosts themselves, come calling in the dead of the night, their true intentions hidden behind an impenetrable, chilling facade. It's a profound terror, realizing that sometimes the masks we encounter in life are not meant to be removed, leaving us to confront a chilling, unyielding unknown. You feel the oppressive weight of the darkness immediately, a profound, almost tangible presence that presses in from all sides. It isn't just an absence of light. It's a deep, rich, velvet blackness that seems to absorb all ordinary sound, all sense of defined space within the room. The air in the parlor is thick, heavy, carrying the faint, mingling sense of old dust, the musty sweetness of aged velvet drapes, and a distinct, almost metallic tang that prickles the back of your throat, as if a storm is brewing inside these very walls. You are seated rigidly at a polished, oval table, its cold, smooth surface pressing against your palms, anchoring you to the other hands clasped around it, a tightly woven chain of tense anticipation. Your fingers are firmly interlaced with someone to your left, their skin surprisingly clammy and cool, and another to your right, whose grip is so unyielding it almost hurts. You can hear their shallow, careful breaths, a faint, rhythmic, rustling chorus around the table, but beyond that, a silence so profound it feels absolute, almost suffocating. It's a silence not of emptiness, but of deliberate, profound suppression, as if every single person in this room is holding their very being still, every nerve on edge, waiting for the unseen to stir. Your own heartbeat feels unnaturally loud, a frantic, insistent drum against your ribs, echoing in your ears like a trapped beast. You try to peer through the impenetrable gloom, straining your eyes until they ache, but the darkness is absolute, unwavering. It plays maddening tricks on your vision, conjuring fleeting phantom shapes at the very edge of perception. A deeper shadow here, a barely there shimmer there, only for them to dissolve back into the uniform blackness the moment you try to focus directly. The tension in the room is a living thing, a palpable force that seems to hum and vibrate in the air around you, making the small hairs on your arm stand eerily on end. You can almost taste the collective apprehension, a dry, metallic flavor on your tongue, leaving your mouth parched. Minutes crawl by, each one stretching into an eternity, marked only by the slow, deliberate intake and hesitant exhalation of breath from those around you. The air feels significantly colder now, a subtle, creeping chill that seems to emanate not from a draft, but from the very center of the table. A strange, unnatural cold that sinks deep into your bones despite the layers of heavy clothing you wear. You feel a sudden, involuntary shiver ripple through your entire body, a jolt that makes the hands you hold tighten their grip almost painfully, a shared spasm of fear. There's a faint, almost imperceptible tremor running through the heavy wooden table beneath your hands, a vibration that might be your overactive imagination, or something else entirely, something reaching. You concentrate, willing your mind to be utterly open, to perceive, to connect with whatever spectral entities might be stirring in this profound, sacred darkness, feeling the immense weight of unseen presences pressing in, making your skin prickle with an unsettling awareness. The collective held breath of everyone around you feels like a physical thing, a shared, silent prayer, a desperate plea for contact with the other side, an invitation whispered in the absence of sound. It's astonishing how profoundly quiet a room can become when people are unified in their deepest expectation, holding their very breath against the vast, unsettling unknown. A sudden, sharp quap time echoes from the underside of the polished table, a distinct, hollow thud that reverberates through the heavy wood and up into your clasped hands. It's so unexpected, so precise in its timing, that a collective, involuntary gasp ripples around the dark room, a sudden tearing of the profound silence that moments ago felt unbreakable. Your grip tightens almost painfully on the hands next to you, a reflexive clenching born of sheer shock and a primal, immediate dread. The metallic tang in the air seems to sharpen, and the pervasive cold intensifies, a prickling sensation that crawls over your skin. You feel the slight jerk of the hand to your left, a sudden, almost violent twitch that betrays the person's composure. This is the hand of the man who, only moments before, had scoffed quietly, his breath heavy with skepticism, when the medium began her low, droning incantations. Now, you feel his rigid posture, the abrupt, sharp intake of his breath, a sound that whistles faintly through the oppressive darkness. His fingers, once firm with quiet disbelief, are now trembling slightly, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor that transmits itself directly into your own palm. He doesn't move, doesn't speak, but you can sense the profound shift in his entire being, the sudden, terrifying realization that what he once dismissed as mere charlatanry might, just might, be undeniably real. His gasp hangs in the air, a fragile thread of disbelief unraveling into sheer astonishment. Another rap sounds. Softer this time, a gentle tap-tap from a different part of the table, almost directly beneath your elbow. It's a clear, deliberate response, a presence acknowledging its call. And then, a sound breaks the spell. A soft, almost imperceptible sniffle, quickly followed by a tiny, choked sob. It comes from the woman seated opposite you, whose hand you can feel through the chain of joined palms, trembling violently now. This is the mother, the one who came with a faded locket clutched in her free hand, a desperate hope etched onto her tired face. You feel the tremor in her arm, the sudden release of a silent, agonizing grief that has clearly been held captive for far too long. The sobs deepen, not loud, but profound, racking her slender frame. The cold air suddenly feels heavy with her sorrow, a tangible weight that presses down on everyone in the room. You close your eyes, though it makes little difference in the absolute blackness. The tears in the mother's voice are raw, unconcealed, a wave of profound emotion that washes over the entire room, dissolving the rigid tension and replacing it with a strange communal ache. You hear the medium's voice, now a soft, almost hypnotic murmur, guiding, questioning, but the specific words are lost to you. All you can truly perceive are the two distinct, contrasting reactions. The sudden, jarring jolt of belief from the skeptic, his silent internal world shattered, and the overwhelming, guttural release of pure, unadulterated sorrow from the mother, her silent yearning finally, excruciatingly answered. The air is thick, with the scent of human emotion, now a potent mixture of disbelief and heartbreaking relief, far more potent than any dust or damp. It's a strange experience, to witness belief and sorrow collide in the darkest of rooms, leaving you to feel the profound weight of both the unseen and the undeniably human. The single candle flame dances precariously, a tiny, defiant heart of light against the oppressive velvet darkness of the room. Its heat is a fragile warmth against the clammy chill that clings to your fingertips, a stark contrast to the deeper, pervasive cold seeping from the corners of the silent chamber. The air itself feels thick, heavy with the faint, earthy scent of old dust, the metallic tang of stillness, and a subtle, almost unnoticeable aroma of melted wax, strangely sweet and cloying. You stand rigidly, or perhaps you've sunk onto a low, uncomfortable stool, directly before a large, ornate-looking glass, its polished surface a dark, reflective void. The heavy, gilded frame of the mirror feels cold beneath your exploring fingertips, almost as if it breathes the damp chill of the night. It swallows the meager light, reflecting back only the wavering, attenuated flicker of your solitary candle, making the surrounding gloom seem even more profound. Your own reflection is barely discernible, a pale, indistinct smudge of features, your outline vague and ghost-like behind the bright, sharp point of the flame. Only your eyes, wide and unblinking, burning with a potent mixture of apprehension and fervent, desperate hope, seem truly present in the shadowy glass. You lift the candle slightly, bringing its small, shimmering heart closer to the mirror, watching the reflection of the flame deepen, intensify, becoming an almost unbearable point of incandescent light in the vast, consuming darkness of the glass. The warmth from the candle is now distinct on your fingertips, a small, tangible reassurance against the cold unease that coils steadily within your stomach. You stare intently into the reflective depths, willing something, anything, to appear, to manifest from the spectral void. The glass seems to swallow the fragile light, creating an infinite, dizzying tunnel of deepening blackness that stretches out behind your own pale, distorted image. What are you truly seeking in this unnerving darkness? A specific face, perhaps the phantom visage from the hearth, a fleeting glimpse of a future lover, or a stark premonition of some yet-to-unfold event, a chilling sign of destiny. Your breath hitches slightly, a shallow, quiet sound that seems to echo too loudly in the profound, aching silence of the room. The only discernible movement is the incessant, restless, almost frantic flickering of the candle's tiny flame, a fragile, trembling barrier against the vast, unknown mysteries that the night and this ritual promise to reveal. A strange, disorienting sense of vertigo begins to prickle at the edges of your perception, as if the mirror is not merely reflecting your image but actively drawing you inward into its cold, silent, indifferent depths. The solid walls of the room, the familiar furniture, all seem to blur and recede, leaving only you, the intensely flickering candle, and the enigmatic, all-consuming glass. Every minute shift in the candle's frantic flame, every subtle shimmer or distortion on the mirror's darkened surface, sends a sharp jolt of alarm and anticipation through your chest. Your heart skips erratically, a frantic beat against your ribs. You yearn desperately to perceive something, a sign, a shape. Yet an equally potent dread curls in the pit of your stomach, fearing what might actually choose to reveal itself from the impenetrable darkness. The cold glass seems to vibrate with unspoken secrets, ancient and unsettling, echoing the countless gazes that have peered into its depths before you, each seeking their own truth. The air around you feels thin, charged with an almost painful intensity, as if it is vibrating on the very precipice of revealing something profound, something that will either confirm your deepest, most cherished hopes, or, conversely, unleash your greatest, most visceral fears. The flickering candle flame, a tiny, struggling heart against the vast, consuming dark, continues its frantic dance within the looking glass. You stare, unblinking, into the reflective void, your eyes aching from the strain, your mind still grasping for the subtle shifts, the faint contours that might reveal the face of a future lover. The cold from the mirror's surface seems to seep into your very bones, a deep, pervasive chill that makes your skin prickle and your muscles tense. The air feels heavy, thick with the stale scent of dust and the faint, sweet perfume of melting wax, a suffocating atmosphere that presses in on your senses. But as you watch, as the seconds stretch into a breathless eternity, something shifts within the mirror, something profoundly, horrifyingly wrong. It's not the gentle, flowing contours you expect, not the soft, inviting features of a human face. Instead, the faint outline of your own reflection seems to ripple, to stretch and distort, the pale, indistinct features receding, thinning, as if stripped away by an invisible, chilling force. The light from the candle, usually a point of fragile warmth, now casts stark, unnatural shadows that deepen the hollows where eyes should be. Your breath hitches in your throat, a sudden, ragged gasp you cannot suppress. The image in the glass is beginning to form, to solidify, but it is not what you longed for, not what the ritual promised. Slowly, insidiously, a macabre grin begins to pull itself from the dark reflective depths. It's a wide, empty curve, devoid of lips, stretched taut across a ghastly, exposed jawbone. The cavernous eye sockets are utterly black, twin abysses that seem to drink in the candle's struggling light, reflecting nothing but the profound, echoing emptiness of space. You recoil internally, your entire body stiffening with a shock so profound it feels like a physical blow. The sudden, overwhelming realization of what you are truly seeing floods your mind, a cold, sickening wave of pure dread that rushes through every nerve ending. This is no lover. This is no glimpse of a tender future. This is a skull, stark and undeniably real, grinning back at you from the shimmering heart of the looking glass. Its bony teeth are bared in a silent, mocking rictus, a terrifying caricature of joy that sends a searing bolt of ice through your very core. Your hands, still gripping the cold, unyielding frame of the mirror, feel clammy and numb, paralyzed by the sheer unblinking horror of the vision. You want to tear your gaze away, to shatter the glass, to extinguish the cursed candle, but you cannot move, cannot even blink. Those hollow, knowing eye sockets seem to pierce right through you, beyond your flesh, beyond your very soul, as if seeing a destiny already sealed. The profound silence of the room is now broken only by the frantic, desperate pounding of your own heart. A frantic drum against your ribs that vibrates through your entire terrified being. The bitter taste of fear, sharp and metallic, coats your tongue, a visceral confirmation that what you see is not an illusion, not a trick of the light, but a grim, terrifying truth unveiled in the dead of this dark night. The skull's grin is fixed, immutable, a chilling promise reflected back from the other side. A silent, enduring testament to the inescapable presence of death. It's a truly harrowing realization. How sometimes our desperate yearning for love can inadvertently pull back the veil and reveal the stark, unyielding face of our deepest, most primal fear. The searing heat hits you first, a colossal wave that washes over your face and chest, pushing back the lingering chill of the night with an almost physical force. It's not just warmth. It's an intense, radiating blast, a dry, incandescent breath from the colossal bonfire roaring before you. The air around you shimmers and distorts, carrying the thick, pungent scent of burning wood, damp leaves, and something else, something primal and ancient, mingling with the faint, comforting aroma of roasted chestnuts from a vendor nearby. You can taste the fine, gritty dust of smoke on your tongue, a dry, acrid flavor that makes you want to cough, but you hold it back, mesmerized. The sound is just as overwhelming, a deep, continuous roar, like a caged beast, interspersed with a sharp, explosive crackle of sap-filled logs bursting open. Sparks, tiny ephemeral stars, continuously rocket skyward, a frantic, dazzling ascent into the inky blackness above, then wink out of existence. Your eyes water slightly from the smoke, blurring the edges of the flame-licked scene. The bonfire itself is a towering inferno, a riot of orange, red, and yellow, with dark, shifting shadows within its heart, creating a spectacle of destructive beauty. It casts enormous, dancing shadows that stretch and shrink over the faces of the crowd, making familiar features seem grotesque and fleeting, turning everyone into a momentary specter. You are pushed slightly from behind, a gentle yet firm pressure, as another person edges closer, drawn by the irresistible pull of the heat. You can feel the collective energy of the crowd around you, a murmuring mass of humanity, their hushed conversations, and occasional bursts of laughter carried away by the fire's insistent roar. Their faces, illuminated by the flickering light, are a patchwork of awe, wonder, and a strange, quiet joy. Some are simply staring, transfixed, their expressions mirroring your own fascination. Others are talking animatedly, their gestures exaggerated by the dramatic light. You raise a hand to shield your face, the heat on your exposed skin almost unbearable. Yet the warmth feels glorious, a stark contrast to the persistent cold that still gnaws at your back, a reminder of the vast, unforgiving night beyond this circle of light. You feel the pulse of the bonfire in the very ground beneath your feet, a low, resonant thrum that vibrates up through your worn boots, connecting you to this powerful elemental force. The flame's embrace is almost intoxicating, a hypnotic dance of destruction and creation, consuming what was, to create heat and light. You watch as a piece of wood, still identifiable a moment ago, collapses into a shower of embers, utterly transformed, gone forever into the glowing heart. The raw, immense power of it all is captivating, drawing you in, making you feel both tiny and profoundly connected to something ancient and immense. You find yourself leaning forward, unable to tear your gaze from the magnificent, devouring spectacle, feeling its raw breath on your very skin. It's a powerful thing, to stand before such a primal force, to feel its heat consume the night, and in that moment, to truly feel alive, a small part of a larger ancient ritual of fire and darkness. The immense heat of the bonfire still radiates, a comforting, almost suffocating warmth against your skin, a vibrant shield against the gnawing chill of the deep night. But as your eyes adjust to the brilliant, flickering light, they also begin to perceive the profound, impenetrable darkness that lies just beyond its radiant circle. It's a velvet blackness, thick and absolute, a gaping maw that seems to absorb all light, all sound, all sense of safety. The air on this outer perimeter feels different, colder, thinner, carrying a faint, damp earthiness that contrasts sharply with the pungent smoke and roasted scents from the fire. You can almost taste the sharp, biting edge of that unseen cold, a premonition of something unwelcome. You find yourself constantly, almost unconsciously, scanning the edges of the light, your gaze darting into the formless shadows where the illumination struggles and dies. There's a strange, disquieting sense that something is out there, just beyond your sight, observing, waiting. You can't pinpoint it, can't hear a distinct sound over the fire's roar, yet the feeling is insistent, a subtle prickle at the back of your neck, a tightening in your stomach. It's the primal fear of the unknown, the ancient dread that stirs when the light abandons you to the mercy of the night. The jubilant laughter from the crowd, the cheerful shouts of children, all seem to lose their comforting quality when they reach this boundary, swallowed by the immense, hungry darkness. You shift your weight, your boots crunching softly on the trampled ground, a nervous fidget. The warmth on your front is inviting, lulling, but the cold pressing in from your back feels like a threat, a reminder of your exposed vulnerability. You strain your ears, trying to separate the natural night sounds, the whisper of wind, the rustle of unseen leaves, from anything more deliberate, more sinister. Was that a faint snap of a twig? A soft, muffled shuffle just at the edge of the furthest gaslight glow? Or is it merely your overactive imagination, fueled by the stories of this night, playing tricks on your heightened senses? Your eyes trace the fleeting movements within the deeper shadows. A branch swaying in the wind, a scrap of paper fluttering, but each movement feels charged with a potential, hidden meaning. You instinctively pull your coat tighter, seeking a small, physical barrier against the creeping dread. The dancing figures around the bonfire, their faces illuminated and joyous, momentarily distract you, offering a fleeting sense of security in numbers. But then your gaze is inevitably drawn back to the consuming darkness, the vast, formless expanse where anything could hide, anything could emerge. You feel the pulse of the bonfire beneath your feet, a powerful, rhythmic beat, but it's no longer a comforting warmth. Now it feels like a frantic drum, matching the rising panic in your chest, a desperate signal of life in the face of an encroaching, silent threat. The smell of burning wood now has a bitter undertone, a reminder of the things that burn and disappear, lost to the consuming darkness. You cling to the heat, to the light, but the sense of unseen eyes, of lurking presences, remains unwavering, making the hair on your arms stand on end. It's unsettling how easily the illusion of safety, woven from light and celebration, can unravel at the edges, leaving us profoundly exposed to the chilling reality of what lies in the dark beyond. The first thing that hits you is the taste. Thin, watery, almost metallic, a faint, gritty texture that clings to your tongue. It's the gruel, a meager offering, barely warm, its blandness almost an insult to your gnawing hunger. Each spoonful is an act of mechanical survival, a dull, repetitive motion in the vast, echoing silence of the dormitory. The smell is a cloying blend of unwashed bodies, stale dampness, and something else, a faint, persistent scent of institutional disinfectant that struggles to mask a deeper, more organic decay. You swallow, feeling the watery substance slide down your parched throat, leaving a phantom hollowness in its wake. You are seated on a hard, backless bench, hunched over your small, dented tin bowl. The dim gaslight from the high, grimy windows barely penetrates the cavernous room, creating long, shifting shadows that dance with every slight movement of the figures around you. Rows upon rows of narrow, iron-framed beds stretch into the gloom, each occupied by a silent, shrouded form, or waiting, stark and cold, for its next occupant. The air itself feels heavy, thick, with the unspoken weight of lives lived in quiet desperation, of endless days of toil and nights of fitful, unrestful sleep. This isn't the cold of the outside world. This is a cold that has soaked into the very stones of the building, into the threadbare blankets, into the bones of every soul here. A faint creak from a distant bed, a shallow, rattling cough from a nearby cot. Each sound seems to carry the weight of countless past nights, countless past occupants. You can almost hear the echoes of unspoken sighs, of silent tears shed into thin, lumpy pillows. It's not the dramatic, theatrical haunting of a ghost story. It's a pervasive, palpable presence, a thick residue of suffering that clings to the walls, to the worn floorboards, to the very air you breathe. These are the real ghosts, the lingering essence of lives stripped bare, of hope eroded by relentless hardship. You feel a sudden, inexplicable chill pass through you, raising the tiny hairs on your arms, as if an unseen hand has brushed your skin. You finish the last of your gruel, the spoon scraping loudly against the bottom of the bowl, a jarring sound in the oppressive quiet. You try to focus on the immediate, tangible reality. The hard bench, the cold air, the hollow ache in your stomach. But the feeling of being observed, of being surrounded by an ancient, enduring sorrow, remains stubbornly fixed. Your eyes dart instinctively to the furthest reaches of the dormitory, where the shadows deepen into an impenetrable blackness. Is that a subtle shift in the gloom? A momentary deepening of the dark, as if a form is just beginning to coalesce? Or is it merely your mind, overstimulated by the pervasive atmosphere, playing tricks on your tired senses? You pull your rough, scratchy blanket tighter around your shoulders, but it offers little warmth against the pervasive chill, or against the heavier, emotional cold that presses in from all sides. The dormitory feels less like a refuge, and more like a vast, communal tomb, filled with the murmuring whispers of those who came before, their quiet agony forever etched into the very fabric of this desolate place. The bland taste of the gruel now feels like ash, a fitting counterpoint to the bitterness that settles deep in your heart. It's a peculiar kind of haunting, to be surrounded by the ghosts not of individual spirits, but of an entire collective human suffering, a sorrow so immense it permeates the very air. A small, dry cough first, barely a tremor in the oppressive stillness of the dormitory. You almost dismiss it, a common sound in this place where dampness and chill cling to every lung, to every breath, but then it deepens, transforming into something far more insidious, a wet, rattling gasp that scrapes against your very nerves. It's a child's cough, undeniably, fragile and desperate, echoing from a distant, unseen bed, somewhere down the long, dim aisle of cots. The thin, watery air of the dormitory seems to magnify it, carrying its raw, struggling sound directly to your ears, filling the vast, silent space with its pitiful, insistent plea. You feel a sudden, cold knot tighten in your stomach, your own breath catching in an involuntary spasm of empathy and dread. It comes again, a desperate, gasping wheeze that sounds like air being torn from tiny, struggling lungs. You can almost feel the small body convulsing, the fragile chest heaving in the oppressive darkness. Each sound is a painful, drawn-out struggle, a series of weak, frantic expulsions that end in a soft, wet gurgle, seeming to catch and hold at the very precipice of stillness. You lie on your rough pallet, utterly still, your senses straining, picturing the unseen child frail and shivering, lost in the vast, impersonal gloom of the workhouse. The persistent chill of the room, which you had almost grown accustomed to, now feels like a predatory cold, amplifying the child's struggle, making your own skin prickle with gooseflesh. The smell of stale disinfectant and damp wool seems to intensify, a grim accompaniment to the unfolding agony, a smell of sickness that hangs heavy in the air. Around you, the other forms on the hard beds remain mostly silent, unmoving. A faint sigh might escape from a nearby cot, a barely perceptible shift in a shadow, but no one rises, no one speaks. It's a grim familiarity, this sound, a nightly occurrence that has stripped away the luxury of open compassion. But for you, tonight, it is different. It slices through the dull resignation, stirring a deep, unsettling fear, a stark reminder of the thin veil between life and what lies beyond. You press your hands tightly over your ears, a futile attempt to muffle the sound, but it penetrates inward, resonating directly in your mind, a haunting echo. The cough isn't just a sound, it's a terrifying rhythm, a relentless beat that feels like a countdown, a fragile life battling against the inevitable, in a place where hope itself struggles to breathe. Each strained gasp feels like a tiny piece of your own humanity being scraped away by the raw, unadorned suffering. The bitter taste of the gruel from earlier seems to return, a dry, almost dusty sensation in your mouth, a counterpoint to the wet, desperate struggle you are hearing. The dormitory itself seems to hold its breath, every creak of the floorboards, every distant rustle, silenced by the awful, struggling sound. You feel a profound helplessness, a desperate yearning to reach out, to offer comfort. But you are trapped by the rules, by the cold indifference of the institution, by the sheer, overwhelming reality of your own powerless position. The child's struggle continues, a slow, agonizing drumbeat of survival against encroaching weakness, a sound that feels both infinitely small and impossibly vast, filling the entire desolate space with its terrible, fragile resonance. It's a sound that promises no solace, only the grim, undeniable truth of life's precarious hold in a world where mercy is a rare and fleeting commodity. There's a profound weight to such a sound in the dead of night, a terrifying whisper of the human condition, stark and undeniable, that echoes long after the last gasp fades into the vast, indifferent silence. The soft crackle of the last cinder in the grate dies, swallowed instantly by the sudden, expectant hush that descends upon the small, cramped parlor. It's a profound silence, deeper and more deliberate than any natural quiet, as if the very air itself has inhaled and is now holding its breath. You feel it in the tightening of your jaw, in the subtle clench of your muscles, a tension that ripples through the small gathering, the faint, sweet smell of burnt sugar from a forgotten cup of tea, and the lingering, earthy scent of damp wool from freshly removed coats seem to hang heavier in this sudden absence of sound, sharpened by the keen edge of anticipation. You are huddled close with a few others, perhaps on stiff wooden chairs, or simply on the worn rug, your knees almost touching, forming a tight circle around the dim, flickering gaslight that now serves as the room's sole illumination. Each face around you, caught in the uncertain glow, is a steady and focused expectation. Eyes, wide and reflective, are fixed on the elderly woman seated opposite, her gnarled hands clasped in her lap, her gaze distant, already lost in the realms of memory and shadows. Her presence alone seems to deepen the silence, imbuing it with a sense of ancient wisdom, or perhaps ancient dread. The chill that permeates the room isn't just from the autumn night. It's an internal cold, born of suggestion and collective readiness. You shiver, not from cold, but from a prickling awareness that rises on your skin, the subtle whisper of a story about to begin. Every creak of the floorboards outside, Every distant hansom cab rumbling past seems magnified, then abruptly muffled, unable to truly penetrate this carefully constructed pocket of quiet. You can hear the faint, shallow breathing of the person next to you, the soft rustle of their fabric as they shift imperceptibly, mirroring your own nervous adjustment. Your mind races, conjuring images, scraps of half-remembered tales, preparing itself for the terror to come. You swallow, your mouth surprisingly dry, a testament to the power of this collective, shared suspense. The very atmosphere feels charged, thick with unspoken questions, and the eager, yet fearful, yearning for a tale of the macabre, of spirits wandering the thin veil between worlds. This hush isn't empty. It's pregnant with stories, with the ghosts of past narratives, ready to unfurl themselves into the waiting, eager night. The gaslight flickers once, a small, almost imperceptible dip, and in that fleeting instant, the shadows seem to deepen, to stretch and writhe, as if something unseen is stirring in the periphery, drawn in by the profound quiet. It's truly remarkable, the power that such a fragile, self-imposed silence can wield, transforming a simple room into a crucible for shared fear and imagination. The elderly woman's voice begins, a low, gravelly murmur that seems to weave itself into the very fabric of the hushed room. It's not loud, but it possesses a peculiar resonance, a subtle vibration that seems to bypass your ears and settle directly in the sensitive hollow behind your breastbone. She speaks of shadows that lengthen unnaturally, of a cold that breathes where no draft should be, of forgotten footsteps that echo in empty halls. Her words aren't just descriptions. They are incantations, painting vivid, unsettling images that begin to coalesce in the dim, flickering gaslight. The faint smell of damp wool and old wood in the room seems to deepen, taking on a new, heavier quality, as if the very air itself is growing thicker, more dense with unseen presence. You find yourself leaning forward almost imperceptibly, your muscles tensed, every nerve ending alert, drinking in each carefully chosen phrase. The gaslight, once a source of comfort, now feels insufficient, casting erratic, dancing shadows that seem to writhe and stretch into monstrous shapes on the walls, mimicking the horrors being described. Your gaze darts instinctively to the darker corners of the parlor, where the light fails, half expecting to see a fleeting movement, a subtle shift in the profound gloom. The familiar comfort of the small room dissolves, replaced by a chilling awareness of its hidden depths, its unseen crevices. Every creak of the old house, every whisper of the wind against the windows, now takes on a sinister new meaning, a subtle accent to the unfolding narrative. A prickle of ice traces a path down your spine, not from any external chill, but from the insidious power of the story. Your breath catches, shallow and almost imperceptible, as the narrative builds, detailing a betrayal, a lingering wrong, a silent, unforgiving witness. You feel a distinct, unsettling sensation, as if an unseen touch brushes the small hairs on the back of your neck. Your heart begins to beat a rapid, anxious rhythm against your ribs, a frantic counterpoint to the storyteller's measured, hypnotic cadence. You try to swallow, but your mouth is surprisingly dry, tasting of sudden, undeniable fear. The line between the told tale and the immediate reality begins to blur, thin and fragile, threatening to snap. You are no longer merely listening. You are immersed, a participant in the chilling events, feeling their cold spectral breath on your very skin. The story reaches its climax, not with a sudden bang, but with a lingering, insidious twist, a revelation that leaves a cold, empty ache in your stomach. The teller's voice fades, leaving behind a silence far more potent than the one that began, a silence imbued with the fresh imprint of dread. The tale ends, but the feeling it conjured does not. It clings to you, a cold, pervasive dampness, a pervasive sense that something has been irrevocably altered. You feel a seed of genuine fear planted deep within you, a tiny, dark sprout that twists and grips, threatening to unfurl its roots into every quiet moment, every shadow, every unexpected sound. The faces around you, emerging from the gaslight's glow, are pale, their eyes wide with a shared, lingering terror, a testament to the story's chilling power. You glance at your own hands, and they seem strangely distant, the familiar lines now shadowed with a newly acquired vulnerability. The very air you breathe feels charged, contaminated with the chilling essence of the tale. It's a strange thing, this power of a well-told story, to not merely entertain, but to fundamentally alter your perception, planting a seed of fear that quietly, insidiously, continues to grow long after the last word is spoken, forever changing the way you perceive the shadows in your own home. You feel the profound, unyielding cold first, a deep chill that seems to seep through the thick layers of your clothing and settle in your very bones. It's a cold far beyond the damp London night, an unnatural, still cold that radiates from the very center of the room. A heavy, cloying scent hangs in the air, the sickly sweetness of dying flowers mingling with the unmistakable, sharp odor of formaldehyde, and the faint, earthy decay of a body too long unmoving. You are standing, or perhaps kneeling, beside a shrouded form, stretched out on a plain wooden board, or perhaps a simple bed, beneath a thin, bleached sheet. In your hands, you hold a thick slice of coarse, dark bread. Its rough texture presses against your palm, and a subtle, earthy aroma rises from it, a comforting smell of sustenance and life, starkly at odds with the pervasive scent of death. On top of the bread, a small, uneven pile of coarse salt glitters faintly in the dim, flickering candlelight that struggles against the pervasive gloom of the chamber. The salt feels sharp, granular, almost abrasive against your thumb. You know its purpose, its ancient unspoken role, to absorb the sins, the burdens, the very essence of the departed. The weight of the bread in your hand feels heavier than it should, laden not just with its own substance, but with the profound, invisible weight of a human life, now ended. The room is hushed, so quiet that your own shallow breathing sounds unnaturally loud. Other shadowy figures are present, their movements slow, deliberate, their faces veiled by sorrow or superstition. You can feel their silent, intense gaze upon you, a collective expectation that presses down like a physical weight. You reach out, your hand trembling almost imperceptibly, and gently place the bread, laden with its glittering salt, upon the chest of the shrouded form. The fabric beneath your fingers is shockingly cold, unyielding, an abrupt, visceral reminder of the absolute stillness beneath. The bread settles, a small, mundane object on a vast, silent landscape of death. You feel the faint, unsettling impression of the body's rigidity through the cloth, a profound stillness that speaks of finality. The salt catches the last vestiges of light, glistening like tears or diamonds, a silent testament to the ancient ritual you are performing, a bridge between the living and the irrevocably departed. You take a slow, deliberate breath, and the cold, dense air fills your lungs, tasting faintly of decay and ceremony, a chilling cocktail that settles deep in your chest. The chill from the corpse seems to permeate the bread itself, a cold exchange of burden and finality. It's a strange moment to physically bear witness to such a final, ancient exchange, feeling the profound weight of human burdens, both living and dead. You reach out, your fingers still trembling slightly from the profound, unyielding cold emanating from the shrouded form. You pick up the thick slice of coarse, dark bread, the small, uneven pile of glittering salt still resting precariously upon its crust. The rough texture of the bread feels strangely heavy in your grasp, no longer just common sustenance, but something else entirely, something imbued with an invisible, unsettling weight. The scent of stale dough and harsh mineral salt rises to your nostrils, mingling subtly with the sickly sweet decay that permeates the silent chamber. A collective, hushed sigh seems to ripple through the shadowy figures around you, a palpable sense of release, and their gazes, once fixed on the corpse, now turn, heavy and intent, upon you. You raise the bread to your lips, the act feeling immense, ritualistic, laden with unspoken expectation. Your stomach churns with a deep, instinctive revulsion, a knot of unease tightening in your gut. But you force yourself to take a bite. The bread is dry, tough, almost tasteless at first. A stark, bland canvas, but then the overwhelming salt immediately assaults your tongue. It's an explosion of bitterness, sharp and searing, scratching at the back of your throat, making your eyes water involuntarily. Each chew is a deliberate, agonizing effort, the gritty salt grinding between your teeth, a constant, unpleasant reminder of its grim purpose. You swallow, feeling the dense, salty mass descend, a heavy, cold knot forming in your chest, a chilling, visceral transfer. It's not just bread. It feels like you are ingesting the very essence of bitterness, regret, and all the unspoken burdens of the departed. As the last morsel disappears, a profound, almost audible silence falls upon the room, heavier and more complete than before. The other figures, their faces indistinct in the dim candlelight, subtly, almost imperceptibly, draw back. You feel their gaze shift, no longer curious or expectant, but wary, even subtly repulsed. There's no physical touch, no spoken word, yet the message is stark and undeniable. You are now marked. You have taken on the burden, absorbed the taint. The cold that radiated from the corpse seems to have transferred to you, a deep, pervasive chill that makes your skin prickle, a feeling of separation, of being suddenly untouchable. The air itself seems to recoil from you, leaving a hollow space, an invisible barrier that now separates you from the living. You turn, slowly, feeling the immense weight of the absorbed sins, a heavy internal drag that tugs at your very soul, making each movement deliberate, burdened. Your boots scrape softly on the cold stone floor as you walk towards the door, each step heavy, purposeful. A solitary journey into an unknown future. No one moves to stop you. No one offers a comforting glance. No farewell. You are simply allowed to pass, a pariah, now carrying the indelible mark of another's transgressions. The bitter taste of salt, sharp and metallic, remains stubbornly on your tongue, a constant, personal reminder of the profound, isolating act you have just performed. The weight in your chest grows heavier with each step away from the deathbed, pulling you down into a solitude that feels as cold and vast as the London night itself. The door creaks shut behind you with a soft, final thud, sealing your fate, leaving you to carry the silent burden of the dead into the indifferent living world, forever alone. It's a peculiar kind of solitude. To walk away bearing the hidden burdens of another, forever separated by an invisible yet undeniable mark of absorbed sin. You feel the shocking, icy cold first. A sudden, brutal splash of water that hits your face, stinging your eyes and sending a jolt of raw alarm through your entire body. The smell is clean, sharp, of fresh water, mingled with the sweet, crisp aroma of apples, a tantalizing scent amidst the pervasive dampness and faint coal smoke of the night. Your breath hitches, a gasp catching in your throat as the cold liquid drips from your hair, runs down your temples, and chills your ears. You are hunched over a large wooden tub, its rim rough and cold against your chest, filled to the brim with glistening dark water. Beneath the surface, bobbing stubbornly, are countless bright red and green apples, their rounded forms swaying and jostling with every slight movement. You see them, a vibrant, tantalizing promise of sweetness, just out of reach. You hear the muffled giggles and encouraging shouts of the small crowd gathered around you, their faces blurred by the mist in your eyes, their excitement a tangible buzz in the cold air. Someone nudges you playfully from behind, a gentle shove that almost sends you face first back into the frigid water. The pressure of their hand on your back is a reminder of the dozens of eyes fixed on you, a blend of good-natured amusement and eager anticipation. You take a deep breath, the cold air filling your lungs, bracing yourself for another attempt. You plunge your face into the water, the icy shock momentarily stealing your breath again. Your eyes are open, wide and stinging, trying to pinpoint a specific apple, a target in the murky depths. You feel the water swirl around your ears, muffling the outside world, creating a strange, isolated silence where only the frantic beat of your own heart matters. Your teeth clench, your jaw aches from the effort, as you try to latch onto a slippery, evasive fruit. It slips away, again and again, teasing your lips, dancing just beyond your grasp, frustratingly buoyant. The taste of cold water, mixed with the faint, sweet essence of apple skin, fills your mouth, a clean, refreshing taste that contrasts sharply with the frantic effort. You surface, gasping, shaking your head, sending an arc of droplets flying. The cold is pervasive now, not just on your face, but seeping into your hair, down your neck, making your skin prickle with gooseflesh. The crowd laughs again, louder this time, a mixture of sympathy and delight. Your cheeks are flushed, your lips a faint blue from the cold, but a stubborn determination ignites in your eyes. You glance at the other bobbers, their faces equally wet and determined, their turns imminent. The raw, exhilarating challenge of it all, the playful struggle against the elusive fruit, the sheer, undeniable cold. It's a vivid, invigorating jolt, a powerful sensory blast in the heart of this dark autumnal night. You can feel the intense cold of the water still clinging to your skin, a persistent reminder of the refreshing, playful battle. It's a strange and exhilarating thing, to immerse yourself so completely in such a simple, icy pursuit, feeling truly alive in the face of such raw, unadulterated, cold and collective, good-natured chaos. You plunge your face back into the frigid water, a gasp escaping your lips as the icy shock hits your skin once more. The air, already crisp with autumn's bite, seems to vanish from your lungs, leaving you breathless, yet a fierce determination grips you. Your eyes are open, stinging slightly from the cold, scanning the murky surface for a prime target. There, a large, russet red apple bobs defiantly, just within reach. You lunge, your neck straining, your jaw aching from the effort to open wide, to capture the elusive fruit. The muffled sounds of the laughing crowd above you are distant, irrelevant. Only the apple and your aching lungs matter. You feel the cold, waxy skin of the apple brush against your teeth, then your lips, just as your air begins to run out. This is it. You snap your jaw shut with a sudden, desperate force, a primal instinct taking over. A sharp, unexpected dar-fi rack reverberates through your skull, not the crisp crunch of an apple, but a jarring, painful impact. Simultaneously, a searing pain shoots through your lower lip. You feel a sudden, warm gush, distinct and metallic, blossoming in your mouth, mingling with the clean, icy water and the faint sweetness of the apple. It's blood, your own blood. The taste is unmistakably salty, a sharp, visceral tang that floods your senses, making your stomach clench even as you finally, triumphantly, surface. You lift your head from the tub, gasping for air, the apple still clutched precariously between your teeth. Water streams from your face, mixing with the dark, crimson smear that now stains your chin. The cheers from the crowd seem to fade, replaced by a momentary, hushed silence as they register the sudden shift, the unexpected consequence of the game. You feel a warm, sticky rivulet tracing a path down your chin, and when your tongue probes your inner lip, a sharp, raw pain confirms it. You've bitten yourself, hard. The apple, once a sweet prize, now feels heavy, somehow tainted by the salty, metallic tang that fills your mouth. Someone nearby points, a sharp, sudden gesture, and a woman gasps, covering her mouth with her hand. Another offers a sympathetic, worried glance. You can feel their eyes on you, their expressions shifting from amusement to concern. The playful atmosphere of the game abruptly broken by this small, personal injury. Your hands, still wet and numb from the cold water, reach up to touch your injured lip, feeling the tender, throbbing warmth of the wound. The triumph of catching the apple feels oddly hollow now, overshadowed by the persistent, stinging pain and the unwelcome, salty taste of your own blood, a bitter counterpoint to the sweetness you had sought. The cold night air now feels harsh against your raw skin, an uncomfortable reminder of the unexpected price of victory. You clutch the apple tightly in your hand, its vibrant color, a stark contrast to the crimson on your lips. It's a peculiar lesson, learning that even in the midst of a simple, joyous game, there can be a sharp, unexpected cost, turning the taste of victory into something far more complex and undeniably human. You feel the thrumming vibrance of the ballroom, a rich tapestry of sound and sensation that washes over you. The air is thick with the sweet, heady perfume of crushed roses and lilies, mingling with the sharper, exhilarating scent of expensive champagne and the faint, underlying musk of 100 elegant bodies. The polished mahogany floor beneath your dancing shoes vibrates subtly, with the relentless rhythm of the orchestra, a swirl of violins and brass that fills the grand, opulent space. Laughter, light and crystalline, tinkles from groups of elegantly clad ladies and gentlemen, their jewels sparkling like captured stars under the glittering chandeliers. You see a kaleidoscope of motion, couples gliding across the floor, their silks and satins shimmering, a blur of vibrant colors and formal movements. The sheer, overwhelming luxury of it all is almost intoxicating, a dazzling distraction from the chill of the London night outside, a world away from the gritty streets. Then, a sound. It's subtle, almost lost beneath the swell of the waltz and the murmur of conversation, yet it cuts through the general gaiety with an unnerving precision, a soft, distinct rustle, like the whisper of heavy silk sliding across a polished floor. But it's not from a dancing couple, not from a passing lady. It feels closer, almost directly behind you, yet when you subtly turn your head, your eyes darting through the throng, there's no one there to account for it. No one dressed in a gown whose fabric could make such a precise, delicate sound. A sudden, inexplicable chill, colder than the usual ballroom air, brushes your exposed neck, raising the fine hairs on your skin. You feel a prickle of unease, a fleeting sense of something out of place, a subtle discord in the perfect symphony of the ball. You try to dismiss it, to rationalize it away as a trick of the acoustics, a stray current of air. You take a sip of champagne, the bubbles tickling your tongue, a conscious effort to ground yourself in the vibrant reality of the moment. But then, it happens again. The distinct sheck of what feels unmistakably like the train of a heavy, luxurious gown being drawn silently over the polished floor. This time, it's closer still, unmistakably to your left, just beyond your periphery. You cast a quick, discreet glance. Again, nothing. No one. Only the familiar swirl of dancing forms, their faces illuminated by the golden glow, their movements fluid and human. Yet the sound was undeniably there, intimate and precise, suggesting a movement that was both present and entirely absent. The scent of roses seems to waver for a moment, replaced by a faint, almost imperceptible breath of something incredibly old, something like dust and forgotten things, before the heady floral perfume reasserts itself, almost aggressively. A knot of unease tightens in your stomach, a cold, unwelcome guest in the midst of this festive warmth. You find yourself subtly scanning the crowd, not for a familiar face, but for any sign of a garment that could create such a sound, a fabric that seems to move without a visible wearer. The chatter around you, the joyous music, suddenly feels like a thin veneer, a fragile shield against the growing suspicion that something, or someone, utterly out of place, is weaving silently through the gilded splendor of the ball. You taste a faint metallic tang on your tongue, the sharp edge of apprehension mingling with the sweet champagne. This isn't the playful shiver of a ghost story. This is a deeper, more unsettling awareness of a presence that doesn't belong, moving with an impossible grace and an unnerving, profound silence. A whisper of silk in a room full of living, breathing sound. The soft, rhythmic thrumming of the orchestra, the ceaseless chatter, and the sweet, heavy perfume of the ballroom continue to swirl around you, a vibrant, intoxicating tapestry of high society. You are perhaps lingering by a draped alcove, or simply pausing for a breath between dances, the cool, fluted glass of champagne still in your hand. The air feels thick, with the mingled scents of fine fabrics, hot wax from countless candles, and the faint, sweet promise of indulgence. You see the blur of dancing figures, the glitter of jewels, the endless flow of polite, animated conversation. You are immersed, a part of this glittering, formal world. Then, a touch. It's light at first, almost imperceptible, brushing your bare arm, a fleeting whisper of fabric against skin. You barely register it amidst the press of bodies, thinking it merely an accidental contact from a passing guest. But then, it becomes more deliberate. A hand, gloved in soft kid leather, not your own, slides gently yet firmly around your elbow. There's no prior word, no warning, only the subtle, unexpected pressure. You flinch, your muscles tensing, your heart giving a small, startled leap in your chest. The glove feels cool, smooth, and utterly anonymous. You try to turn, to identify the source, but the hand pulls gently, subtly, guiding you into the deeper, softer shadows of a secluded nook, behind a heavy velvet curtain, where the light struggles to penetrate and the music is a muffled throb. The air here is instantly colder, quieter, carrying only the faint scent of old dust and closed spaces. Before you can fully process the unexpected movement, before you can utter a sound or demand an explanation, it happens. A presence is suddenly, intimately close. You feel the distinct warmth of another body, the swift rush of a breath against your ear, and then the undeniable, firm pressure of lips on yours. It's a kiss, sudden and forceful, yet oddly soft, tasting faintly of wine and a foreign, indefinable sweetness. Your eyes widen, staring into the impenetrable darkness, seeing nothing, knowing nothing of the face pressed against yours, the features entirely obscured by the profound, velvety black. The stolen moment is brief, shockingly brief, lasting only a breathless second, yet in that instant, a cold, hard knot of alarm twists in your stomach. The touch is gone as quickly as it came. The presence vanished, leaving behind only the lingering, phantom warmth on your lips and the sudden, chilling awareness of what has just occurred in the hidden depths of the alcove. You stumble back, disoriented, your senses reeling from the sudden, intimate violation and the abrupt absence. Your hand flies to your lips, touching the spot where the unknown mouth had been, feeling the ghost of its pressure. The faint, sweet taste is still lingering, now strangely metallic. As you step back out from behind the heavy velvet, blinking into the brighter light of the main ballroom, you feel it immediately. The shift. The atmosphere itself seems to have subtly changed, cooled. Heads turn, not quite directly at you, but glances are exchanged. Whispers, soft, insidious rustles, like dry leaves, ripple through the elegant crowd. You feel suddenly exposed, as if the shadows of the alcove were far thinner than you imagined, as if the illicit kiss has been witnessed, its secret stripped bare for all to see. The laughter now seems brittle, the music faintly mocking. You feel the distinct, heavy weight of unspoken judgment pressing down on you, colder and more suffocating than any fog. Your heart hammers in your chest, no longer from surprise, but from a profound, sickening sense of shame and ruin, a chilling awareness that a moment, anonymous to one, has irrevocably marked you for all. The rich scent of roses now feels cloying, turning sour in your suddenly parched mouth. The biting cold air slices through your thin shawl, a sharp, almost physical pain that seeps deep into your lungs with every shallow breath. It carries with it the unmistakable earthy scent of damp, disturbed soil. mingled with the faint metallic tang of decay and the cloying sweetness of forgotten, withered flowers. You are standing utterly alone in the desolate heart of a sprawling graveyard. Gravestones, ancient and leaning, loom like silent, spectral teeth against the bruised, moonless sky. Twisted, leafless branches of old oak trees claw at the heavy, starless blackness, their skeletal forms rustling with a dry, whispering sound, a ghostly chorus in the profound silence. Then it begins. A deep, resonant bong reverberates through the heavy, stagnant air, shaking the very ground beneath your worn boots. It's the church bell, high above, its colossal iron tongue striking the hour. The sound is immense, solemn, carrying a profound weight of history and sorrow, a powerful wave that seems to ripple through your chest, making your heart thrum in a sudden, anxious beat. You flinch, involuntarily, your entire body tensing against the shock. The first toll is a declaration, a stark announcement to the silent city. A long, agonizing pause follows, thick with anticipation, filled only by the whisper of the wind through the tombstones and the frantic rhythm of your own pulse in your ears. Then, a second bong, heavier, closer, as if the sound is now inside you, vibrating in your bones. You pull your shawl tighter around your shivering shoulders, a futile gesture against the pervasive, supernatural cold that seems to radiate from the very earth itself, a cold that has sunk deep into the soil, into the forgotten coffins, into the silent stones. Your eyes dart through the labyrinthine rows of graves, straining to perceive any movement, any shift in the profound, formless shadows that stretch endlessly between the monuments. Every gnarled branch seems to twist into a menacing claw, every distant creak of the church gate a phantom footstep. The bells continue, slow, deliberate, each time's bong forings behind a leaden drop of sound into the vast ocean of night. 7, 8, 9. Each toll echoes, not just in the air, but in your very being, a countdown to the hour when the veil between worlds is said to be at its thinnest. The taste in your mouth is dry, metallic, a raw edge of fear. 10, 11. You close your eyes for a brief moment, but the darkness behind your lids is even more unsettling, filled with phantom shapes and the lingering image of the skull from the looking glass. You open them again, forcing yourself to confront the cold, stark reality of your surroundings. And then, the 12th, dong. It's the heaviest yet, a profound final reverberation that hangs in the air, a deep, resonant hum that vibrates long after the sound itself dies. Midnight. The air suddenly feels charged, thick with an unspoken, ancient energy. The silence that follows is absolute, deeper, more terrifying than any preceding sound, filled with the palpable weight of countless sleeping dead and the chilling, unspoken promise of the unseen. You are utterly alone, yet the profound stillness seems to hold a myriad of unseen presences, their silent gazes fixed upon you from the cold, unyielding earth. It's a peculiar thing, the way a simple bell can mark not just time, but the very boundary between the living world and the vast, silent realm of the dead. The profound, echoing silence after the 12th leaden toll of the church bell presses down on you, heavier and colder than any physical weight. It's a vast, aching stillness that seems to swallow every faint whisper of wind. every rustle of dry leaves caught between the ancient gravestones. You are crouched low, hidden amongst the gnarled, skeletal roots of an ancient yew tree, its rough bark digging into your trembling fingers. The pervasive scent of damp, disturbed earth, mingled with the cloying sweetness of decaying foliage, and the sharp, metallic tang of cold night air, fills your nostrils, making each breath a shallow, cautious intake. The cold has seeped into your very bones, a deep, persistent ache that promises no relief. Your eyes, wide and stinging from the raw cold, strain to pierce the oppressive gloom that hangs like a thick shroud between the towering moss-covered monuments. The moon, hidden behind a relentless tapestry of scudding clouds, offers no guidance, only an occasional fleeting suggestion of movement in the deepest shadows. You know what you are here to witness, what legends claim emerges on this most unholy of nights, the procession of those doomed to die before the next All Hallows Eve. A shiver, colder than the grave, traces a path down your spine. Then it begins. Not with a sound, but with a subtle distortion in the very air itself. A faint shimmer, a translucent ripple in the deepest part of the graveyard, near the old, crumbling gate. You blink, once, twice, convinced your eyes are playing tricks on you, but the shimmering persists, growing steadily, drawing closer. Figures begin to materialize, not solid, not quite opaque, but like mist given form, their outlines indistinct, their movements flowing and ethereal. They are a silent, spectral parade, drifting through the labyrinthine rows of graves, their feet making no sound on the frost-kissed grass, stirring not a single fallen leaf. The air around them feels even colder, a profound, unnatural chill that makes your teeth chatter involuntarily. You watch, utterly transfixed, your breath held in your chest, an almost painful knot of dread and morbid fascination tightening in your stomach. Their faces emerge from the swirling translucence, pale and indistinct at first, then coalescing with a horrifying clarity. You see them, men in faded coats, women in simple bonnets, children with vacant wide eyes. Their expressions are uniform, a profound, unseeing melancholy, a quiet resignation etched upon their ghostly features. They do not look left or right, do not acknowledge your presence, but simply drift onward, their destination tragically clear. The sight is both heartbreaking and utterly terrifying, a silent prophecy playing out before your living eyes. A particularly cruel twist tightens the knot in your stomach to an agonizing degree. Among the spectral forms, you begin to recognize faces. A neighbor, stooped and frail, but unmistakably Dashbia. A tradesman from the market, whose jovial laugh you heard only yesterday. And then, a figure whose silhouette is painfully familiar, whose gentle, kind face, though pale and mournful, is one you know intimately, deeply. Your heart lurches, a sudden, violent thrumming that seems to shake your entire being. The bitter, metallic taste of fear floods your mouth, mingling with the earthy dampness, a stark, undeniable confirmation of the horrifying truth. This isn't just a legend. It's real, and its silent, mournful parade carries faces that pierce your very soul. You press yourself further into the rough bark, wishing you could disappear, wishing you had never dared to witness such a chilling, undeniable glimpse into the future's grim, unyielding harvest. The cold of the grave seems to have found a home within your heart, a chilling harbinger of the inevitable. The dull, grating scrape against the firm, fibrous flesh sends a subtle shiver up your arm. It's a raw, almost violent sound, amplified in the quiet, drafty corner where you sit. Immediately, an acrid, earthy aroma, strangely pungent and slightly bitter, fills your nostrils. It's the distinct, unmistakable scent of raw turnip, freshly cut, mingling with the faint, cold dampness that permeates the small, shadowed room. Your fingers, already numb with the creeping chill, grip the small, utilitarian knife, its wooden handle rough and worn. The turnip itself, heavy and surprisingly resistant, rests awkwardly in your other hand, its waxy skin cool against your palm. You push the blade inward, the cutting edge meeting stubborn resistance, and begin to carve out the dense, white core. The sound of tearing fibers, a harsh, insistent whisper, accompanies each careful thrust and twist of your wrist. Bits of the yellow-white pulp break free, damp and cool, clinging to the blade and falling onto the rough sackcloth spread beneath your work. Your thumb brushes against the raw, exposed interior of the vegetable, and you taste a faint, earthy bitterness on your skin, a dry, slightly spicy residue that prickles your tongue. This isn't simply food. This is a vessel awaiting its transformation. A single, sputtering candle, its flame dancing erratically, casts long, shifting shadows that make your hunched form and the ungainly turnip seem monstrous in the dim light. The chill in the air bites at your exposed skin, contrasting sharply with the internal heat of your focused effort. You scrape again, harder this time, feeling the strain in your wrist, your knuckles aching from the cold and the sustained pressure. The knife scrapes a deep, resonant shunk as you scoop out more of the resistant core, creating a hollow, echoing chamber within the heart of the vegetable. The moisture from the turnip juice begins to seep onto your fingers, cold and sticky, making the knife handle feel slick in your grip. You pause, taking a deep, almost involuntary breath, the acrid scent now more pronounced, a constant presence. You glance at the progress, a jagged, uneven cavern beginning to emerge, slowly taking shape under your painstaking efforts. The edges where you've cut are rough, raw, reflecting the meager light with a dull, yellowish sheen. This laborious act, performed in the dim, cold quiet, feels ancient, almost ritualistic, a solitary communion with the humble root. You press on, carving with renewed purpose, feeling the coarse texture of the turnip's skin against your fingers as you rotate it, seeking the next section to hollow. The effort is steady, monotonous, yet imbued with a quiet intensity, a preparation for the eerie light it will soon hold. There's a curious satisfaction in this simple act of hollowing, transforming a mundane root into something with a purpose beyond mere sustenance, preparing it to hold a small, defiant flame against the vast, dark night. You press the small, stubby tallow candle firmly into the hollowed core of the turnip, feeling its cold, waxy surface yield slightly beneath your thumb. The acrid, earthy scent of the carved root, sharp and pungent, fills your nostrils, mingling with the fainter, greasy odor of the candle wick. Your fingers are still cold and slightly sticky with turnip juice, but a sense of completion settles over you as the candle sits securely in its new, temporary home. Now comes the moment of transformation. With a cautious hand, you bring a burning ember or perhaps a splinter of glowing wood to the wick. The tiny flame catches with a soft, almost imperceptible hiss, then immediately begins to flicker and grow, casting erratic, dancing shadows that leap and writhe across the rough walls of the small, drafty room. The air around you, thick with the cold and the earthy turnip smell, now carries the faint, greasy aroma of burning tallow, a primitive and somewhat unsettling scent. You lift the turnip, cradling its heavy, cold form in your hands, turning it slowly to observe your creation. The light from the guttering tallow flame within shines through the crudely carved holes you've made, two uneven, triangular slits for eyes, a jagged, crooked line for a mouth, and a lopsided, barely there triangle for a nose. In the flickering, uncertain glow, what was once a humble root has been dramatically, grotesquely transformed. It's a face. A leering, malevolent face. Its features stretched and distorted by the uneven light. Its hollow eyes burning with an almost demonic intensity. The flame within flickers, making the shadows deepen and shrink, causing the turnip's carved grin to widen, then narrow as if it's alive, mocking you from its vegetable prison. You feel a strange mixture of pride in your handiwork and a genuine, unsettling shiver that prickles the back of your neck. The face stares out, silent and unblinking, from its orange-yellow prison, its expression of forced merriment bordering on the terrifying. The warm, greasy scent of the burning tallow wafts up, mixing with the sharp turnip odor, creating a unique and rather unsettling perfume that clings to your clothes. The cold of the room, still pervasive, now feels strangely amplified by the eerie light, a stark contrast to the small, intense heat emanating from the flickering wick. You imagine carrying this grotesque creation through the darkened streets, its single guttering eye a defiant beacon against the all-consuming blackness, a silent, leering guardian against the unseen spirits of the night. The rough, earthy texture of the turnip's skin feels almost alive in your grip, imbued with a new, unsettling purpose. It's a powerful thing to carve a face from a humble root, to give it an artificial life with a single flame, and in doing so, to create a grotesque guardian that both repels and draws you into the ancient, unsettling spirit of the night. The bitter, metallic tang of the night air bites at your exposed skin, carrying with it the faint, unsettling scent of stagnant water and old, disturbed wood. You are standing, utterly still, on the damp, uneven cobblestones of a quiet London street, the chilling remnants of the Halloween fog swirling around your ankles. The familiar, rhythmic clatter of the constable's boots on the street, once a comforting sound of order, now feels unnervingly deliberate. Each step a heavy pronouncement in the profound silence of the hour. You hear the soft, almost imperceptible jingle of his keys, the faint creak of his leather belt, amplified in the crisp, cold air. A single, brilliant beam of light pierces the gloom, a stark, golden spear cutting through the swirling mist. It's the constable's lantern, its polished brass casing gleaming, held steady in his gloved hand. The beam plays over the scene before you, illuminating details with an almost brutal clarity. First, it hits the wrought iron gate of a small, respectable townhouse. The gate, usually closed and secure, now hangs askew, one hinge visibly strained, twisted, and half torn from its post. You can see fresh, deep gouges in the old paint, as if someone had tried to pry it open with a heavy tool, a violent assertion of force against the fragile barrier of civility. The air here smells faintly of freshly splintered wood, a raw, sharp scent that mixes with the persistent dampness. The beam moves slowly, deliberately, tracing a path from the damaged gate to the front door of the house itself. What you see makes your stomach clench. The stout wooden door, usually a symbol of security and sanctuary, is no longer properly shut. It hangs slightly ajar, revealing a sliver of deeper, inky blackness within the hallway, a yawning void that promises nothing good. Around the lock, the wood is splintered, savagely ripped and torn, exposing raw, light-colored timber beneath the darker, weathered paint. You can almost feel the sharp, violent force that must have been used to break it open, a brutal disregard for property and privacy. The constable, a broad-shouldered silhouette against the lantern's glare, leans closer, his imposing form momentarily eclipsing the light, casting a long, dancing shadow that stretches towards you. You hear a low, almost guttural sigh escape his lips, a sound of grim resignation, a quiet testament to the grim reality of what he has found. He reaches out a gloved hand, cautiously pushing the door further inward. The old wood groans, a dry, protesting sound that echoes unnervingly in the profound silence. The beam of his lantern now plunges into the dark maw of the house, revealing a glimpse of an empty, disheveled hall, the air inside smelling stale, disturbed. You feel the distinct chill emanating from the open doorway, a cold that is not just the night, but something deeper, something left behind by the unseen intruders. The metallic taste of unease, a violated sanctuary, settles on your tongue, a bitter counterpoint to the sharp, raw smell of broken wood. It's a chilling thing to witness such blatant disregard for the boundaries of home, to see how easily the illusion of safety can be shattered by a few forceful blows in the dead of night. The constable pushes the pried-open door further inward with a cautious, almost reluctant movement, its dry groan echoing unnervingly in the profound silence. The beam of his bullseye lantern plunges into the dark, revealing the immediate chaos within. Your eyes, wide and straining, follow the light's path as it dances across the hallway, illuminating a scene of utter, violent disarray. A small, ornate table lies overturned, its delicate legs splayed grotesquely, a scattering of ceramic shards and a dark, spilled liquid testifying to its violent end. The air inside is thick, heavy, carrying the stale, undisturbed scent of a closed house. But now, a new, far more pungent aroma assaults your nostrils. Sharp, metallic, undeniably coppery. It is the smell of freshly spilled blood. The constable takes a slow, deliberate step over the fallen furniture, his heavy boots crunching faintly on shattered porcelain. The beam of his lantern sweeps further into the room, revealing the full extent of the violation. A heavy oak coat rack lies on its side, coats and scarves flung haphazardly across the worn rug. A framed painting, its glass shattered, leans precariously against the wall. The silence is profound, absolute, broken only by the constable's heavy, measured breathing and the frantic, almost painful thump of your own heart against your ribs. You can feel the chill emanating from the open doorway, a cold that is no longer just the night, but something far more sinister, the residue of brutal intrusion. Then the light settles. It finds its horrifying target at the foot of the sweeping staircase, where a dark, spreading stain blossoms ominously on the faded floral rug. It's an irregular, viscous pool, reflecting the lantern's beam with a sickening wet sheen, a deep, rusty crimson that screams of violence. Your breath hitches, a sharp, choked gasp, as the unmistakable horror of the sight registers deep in your mind. This isn't a spilled drink, not a prank gone awry. This is the stark, undeniable proof of a life violently taken, its essence spilled onto the cold, unforgiving floor. The metallic, coppery smell intensifies, suddenly overwhelming, a sickening, cloying perfume that seems to cling to your very clothing. The constable stops dead, his broad back stiffening, his head cocked slightly, as if listening to an unseen whisper. He doesn't move, doesn't utter a sound, but his entire posture radiates a profound, grim recognition, a terrible certainty. He glances over his shoulder, his eyes, dark and heavy beneath the brim of his helmet, meeting yours for a fleeting, intense moment. In that shared, unspoken glance, you understand the depth of the tragedy, the terrifying shift from mere mischief to irreversible brutality. The cold knot in your stomach tightens into an agonizing spasm, a visceral response to the raw, undeniable evidence of human cruelty. The words, "Halloween prank," feel like a distant, grotesque mockery, a naive whisper shattered by the undeniable reality before you. The taste in your mouth is dry, arid, a potent mix of terror and profound, sickening dread, leaving you trembling on the threshold of a horror that has just begun to unfold. This is no longer a night of shadows and whispers. It is a night stained with a tangible, horrifying reality, a grim testament to the fact that some masks, once worn, reveal something far more terrifying than any playful ghost. It's a chilling truth to confront, that the thin line between playful mischief and irreversible tragedy can be so easily, brutally, and devastatingly crossed, leaving behind only the stark, undeniable proof of human darkness. A thin, reedy sound, barely more than a mournful whisper, first filters through the thick wood of your front door. It's not loud, nor joyful, but a low, somber drone, a collective hum that makes you pause, your hand hovering over the warm ceramic of your teacup. The air in your cozy parlor, fragrant with the lingering scent of wood smoke and a hint of lavender, suddenly feels fragile, easily breached. You can just make out a few indistinct words, a repetitive, weary cadence that speaks of prayers and departed souls. You set the cup down, its gentle clink startlingly loud in the sudden quiet you've imposed. A cold prickle traces a path up your arms, a feeling not of dread, but of something far more poignant. A profound, inescapable melancholy. The sound comes again, a little clearer now. A pitiful, almost ghostly chant that seems to carry the weight of the damp London night itself. It's an ancient sound, a memory stirring from the forgotten corners of the season, sung by voices that hint at hardship and gnawing hunger. You rise, drawn by an irresistible, unsettling curiosity, and move towards the heavy oak door. As you draw closer, the chant intensifies, becoming more distinct, yet still fragile, wavering in the biting cold outside. You reach for the peephole, or perhaps carefully part the heavy curtain of a nearby window, and peer out into the murky, gaslit street. What you see makes your stomach clench with a mixture of sympathy and a strange, quiet discomfort. Standing on your cold, stone doorstep are a handful of figures, small and huddled, their forms indistinct beneath threadbare cloaks and patched, oversized coats. They are children, mostly, their faces pale and pinched, made stark by the weak, flickering glow of a distant street lamp. Their breath plumes in the frigid air, visible ghosts of their struggling existence. Their eyes, wide and expectant, are fixed on your door, their gazes devoid of any playful malice, only a profound, almost desperate hope. Their lips move in unison, forming the familiar, plaintive words of the souling song, a traditional plea for a soul cake in exchange for prayers for the dead. The chant is mournful, a slow, aching melody that speaks of cold streets, empty bellies, and the ever-present specter of poverty. You can almost taste the bitter tang of the night air that surrounds them, the dampness that clings to their thin garments, the very essence of their vulnerability. You hesitate, your finger still on the cold, polished glass of the window pane. To open the door is to invite them in, to acknowledge their harsh reality, to offer what little solace you can. But it's also to fully embrace the chilling, unvarnished truth of a Halloween night that is far from fun or frivolous. The pitiful, somber chant continues, a relentless, aching reminder of the real ghosts that walk these streets, the living, hungry souls, bound by tradition and desperation, begging for a small piece of comfort on a night meant for the dead. The chant itself feels like a prayer, not just for the departed, but for their own fragile, uncertain existence, a constant, low thrum against the fragile illusion of your own security. It's sobering to realize that sometimes the most profound and unsettling ghosts on a night like this are not the spirits of the dead, but the very real, hungry faces of the living. The mournful, reedy chant of the soulers fades, slowly, reluctantly, as you withdraw your gaze from the window. The cold, raw air from outside, carrying the subtle, pervasive scent of damp wool and hungry desperation, still seems to cling to your clothes, even within the confines of your warm parlor. Your fingers, which had hovered over the latch, remain still, unmoving. The decision has been made, unspoken yet definitive. A strange, hollow ache settles in your chest, a feeling of opportunity missed, or perhaps a burden avoided. The lingering sweetness of your forgotten tea suddenly feels cloying, almost sickening, on your tongue. Unable to mask the bitter tang of your own inaction, you hear a faint, collective shuffle on the doorstep, the soft scrape of thin, worn boots on cold stone. It's not a sound of anger or even overt disappointment, but a quiet, almost resigned departure. You imagine their small, pinched faces, now turned away from your closed door, their wide, expectant eyes dulled by the cold reality of another denial. There's no dramatic curse, no shouted malediction, only the profound, unnerving silence that follows their retreating footsteps. That silence, more than any sound, presses down on you, a heavy, suffocating weight, resonating with unspoken implications. A deep chill, separate from the night's weather, seems to seep into the very floorboards around you, spreading inward, chilling your bare feet. It's the cold of superstition, the pervasive dread of an ancient tradition unfulfilled, a ritual broken. You glance around your cozy, well-appointed parlor, its familiar objects suddenly seeming fragile, less secure. The comforting glow of the fire in the grate feels less reassuring, its warmth struggling against the internal cold that has now taken root within you. You instinctively wrap your arms around yourself, a futile gesture against the sudden sharp prickle on your skin, the distinct sensation of tiny hairs rising on your neck, as if an unseen gaze lingers on your back. The faint earthy scent of damp clothes and unwashed children seems to permeate the parlor now, a phantom presence that refuses to be dispelled by the lavender and wood smoke. You can almost feel the weight of their unspoken judgment, the silent ripple of their misfortune, transferred, somehow, to your own fate. Each distant creak of the old house, each whisper of wind against the chimney, now holds a new, disquieting potential, a subtle, ominous echo of their silent departure. You try to rationalize it away, to dismiss the prickle of unease as mere fancy, a product of the spooky Halloween night. But the feeling persists, stubbornly, a cold knot tightening in your gut, whispering of balance disrupted, of ancient powers slighted. The silence in the room feels heavier, thicker, as if it holds a profound, unspoken warning. The denied crust of soul cake, a small gesture of charity, now feels like an immense, symbolic failure, a deliberate turning away from the season's deeper, more somber purpose. You taste a faint metallic tang on your tongue, a sharp edge of apprehension, a grim premonition that the price of warmth and comfort, bought at the expense of a cold and hungry child, might just be far heavier than a mere coin, or a simple slice of bread. The bitter truth of the night, raw and undeniable, has settled deep within you. It's a chilling realization, how the silent turn of a key or the simple act of withholding can sow a seed of unease so potent it feels like a curse, weaving itself into the very fabric of your future. The low, steady hiss of the magic lantern cuts through the suffocating gloom of the packed hall, a sound like a distant, angry serpent exhaling its hot, acrid breath. You feel the heavy, stale air, thick with the cloying scent of cheap gas or burning oil, pressing in on you, mingling with the pervasive smell of damp wool and nervous anticipation from the tightly packed bodies around you. The room is utterly, oppressively dark, a velvet blackness that swallows all light, all sense of familiar space, leaving only the dull, throbbing murmur of the expectant crowd. You shift uncomfortably on the hard wooden bench, feeling the slight jostle of the person next to you, their elbow digging into your side. Suddenly, a brilliant, searing white light punches through the darkness, a blinding rectangular beam that slices across the room. It's accompanied by a soft mechanical clack from the unseen projector behind you, a precise, almost surgical sound that signals the beginning of the show. Your eyes, momentarily dazzled, squint against the sudden intensity, adjusting quickly to the focus. The beam lands squarely on the large white canvas screen at the front of the hall, which, moments ago, was merely a blank, waiting expanse in the gloom. The air around you seems to vibrate with a palpable tension, a collective held breath. Then, the image appears, not gradually, not subtly, but with a startling, almost violent abruptness. A ghostly, translucent figure flickers into being on the canvas, shimmering with an unholy ethereal light. It's indistinct at first, a vague, flowing form, then its features coalesce with a terrifying clarity, a pale, elongated face, its eyes wide and vacant, its mouth a silent, gaping O of despair. It seems to drift, to writhe, propelled by some unseen internal torment. A wave of profound, visceral gasp rips through the room, a collective, involuntary exhalation of shock and immediate terror that seems to shake the very rafters. You feel it ripple through the crowd around you, a palpable tremor, and your own breath hitches in your throat, a sharp, choked intake of air. A profound shiver races down your spine, a cold, icy dread that prickles your exposed skin, despite the warmth of the crowded room. The figure on the screen seems to swell, to grow, its spectral hand, long and skeletal, reaching out from the image, extending towards you, towards the very audience. A silent, desperate plea, or a chilling threat. The mechanical hiss of the lantern, once an annoying background noise, now feels like the very breath of the spectral image, a living, vibrating presence in the now utterly silent hall. You feel the pressure of the bodies around you, rigid and unmoving, their collective focus fixed on the horrifying spectacle, their fear a tangible weight in the suddenly frigid air. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic, insistent drumbeat that echoes the unsettling rhythm of the flickering, ghostly form. You try to swallow, but your mouth is impossibly dry, tasting of bitter, raw fear. The chilling silence of the crowd, after that initial, explosive gasp, is perhaps the most terrifying element of all, a stark testament to the hypnotic, fear-inducing power of the projected ghost. It's a strange realization, how a simple beam of light, combined with the power of human imagination, can conjure such a profound and unsettling fear from the very air itself. The ghostly figure, still shimmering with an unholy, ethereal light on the vast canvas, no longer feels like a mere projection. It now seems to possess a horrifying, impossible depth, as if the flat screen has warped, giving way to an unseen dimension behind it. You watch, utterly transfixed, as its translucent form, once indistinct, seems to gather substance, its edges hardening, its internal torment palpable. The pale, elongated face, with its wide, vacant eyes, now appears to turn, subtly, almost imperceptibly, its empty gaze sweeping across the hushed, darkened hall, making a chilling contact that feels entirely personal, undeniably real. The steady hiss of the magic lantern, previously a mundane mechanical sound, now feels like the very breath of the spectral entity, a soft, dry whisper filling the suffocating silence. A profound, icy dread clamps down on your chest, stealing your breath. You feel your muscles tense, rigid, your hands instinctively clenching into fists on your lap. The hair on your arms stands on end, a prickle of gooseflesh crawling across your exposed skin, as if a frigid wind has just passed directly through you. The collective silence of the audience is absolute, a shared, terrifying paralysis. No one speaks, no one stirs, only the faint, shallow gasps and the almost imperceptible rustle of uneasy movement from a few tightly packed bodies around you betray their profound, shared terror. You can taste the raw, metallic tang of fear, a dry, bitter coating on your tongue that makes your mouth parched. The projected ghost begins to move, not merely flickering or distorting, but gliding. It appears to step forward, to drift from the canvas, its shimmering form seeming to detach itself from the two-dimensional surface, advancing into the physical space of the hall. The air around you feels colder, thinner, as if a profound vacuum is being created by its approach. You instinctively shrink back, pressing yourself against the hard wooden bench, wishing you could disappear, wishing the darkness would simply swallow you whole. The spectral hand, long and skeletal, now seems to stretch out even further, its translucent fingers reaching, not towards the screen, but towards you, towards the front row, a silent, implacable threat that transcends the boundary of mere illusion. You can almost feel its chilling, unseen touch, a cold tendril of fear brushing your cheek. Your heart hammers against your ribs, a frantic, desperate drumbeat that echoes the unsettling, impossible reality unfolding before your eyes. The boundaries between light and shadow, between image and substance, have utterly dissolved, leaving only the undeniable presence of the specter. The phantom's eyes, still wide and vacant, seem to bore into your very soul, an ancient, knowing emptiness that reflects nothing but your own mounting terror. The smell of burning oil from the lamp and the stale air of the hall suddenly feel oppressive, suffocating, as if the very atmosphere itself is being choked by the ghost's silent, impossible approach. You stare, unblinking, utterly convinced that the barrier between worlds has been breached, and that this projected ghost has stepped, fully and terrifyingly, into your reality. It's a chilling moment, to realize that the most powerful illusions are not those that trick the eye, but those that seep into your very being, turning a mere trick of light into an undeniable, palpable reality. You open your eyes to a cold, insistent gray light that struggles to pierce the grimy window pane. It's not the bright, promising light of a new day, but a dull, watery pallor that seems to absorb all warmth, all color from the room. The air that greets your first breath is stale, heavy with the lingering ghosts of yesterday's coal smoke, mixed with the faint, almost metallic tang of dampness that has seeped into every corner of your small chamber. Your mouth feels dry, tasting of a vague bitterness, a lingering residue from the long, unsettling night. Your body aches, a dull, pervasive stiffness in your joints, a heavy exhaustion that seems to have settled deep into your bones. The thin blanket offers little comfort against the persistent chill that clings to your skin. Outside, the usual morning chorus of street vendors and clattering hooves is strangely muted, distant, as if the city itself is rousing with a profound weariness. You hear a solitary, melancholic cry of a newsboy, his voice hoarse and thin, echoing faintly down the fog-laden street, its urgency softened by the persistent gloom. The cobblestones, glimpsed through the window, are slick with a persistent cold dampness, reflecting the gray light in dull, fractured glimmers. The mist has thinned somewhat, but still clings stubbornly to the eaves and the lower parts of the buildings, shrouding the familiar world in a veil of melancholy indifference. Each breath you take is shallow, a conscious effort against the weight of the morning, a reluctant invitation of the cold air into your tired lungs. You feel the dull throbbing behind your temples, a quiet echo of the night's various tensions and anxieties, a persistent reminder that the veil between worlds, though perhaps less thin now, has left its mark. You push yourself up, slowly, the rough mattress rustling beneath you with a dry, papery sound. Your feet meet the shockingly cold floorboards, sending a fresh jolt of chill up your legs. The air hangs heavy, laden with an invisible residue of the Halloween night, a faint, lingering scent of burnt offerings, or maybe just the general stale breath of the city. As you move towards the window, each step feels deliberate, burdened by the weight of exhaustion and the memory of the past hours. The gray light outside is unforgiving, exposing the grime on the windows, the faded patterns on the wallpaper, the quiet, unembellished truth of the day after. There are no more dancing shadows, no more flickering illusions, only the stark, unyielding reality of a new day, cold and unforgiving, washing over the remnants of yesterday's fears. You feel a profound sense of quiet relief, mixed with a lingering, unsettling question, a persistent curiosity about the unseen forces that stirred just hours ago. The world, though reasserting its mundane form, still whispers of secrets held just beyond the veil of everyday life. The cold on your skin feels real, substantial, a physical anchor to a day that demands a slow, weary awakening. The cold, gray light of morning scrapes across your face, bringing with it the stale, bitter taste of yesterday's coal smoke and a profound, bone-deep weariness that clings to your very being. Your eyes feel gritty, heavy, unwilling to fully open to the unforgiving dawn. Every muscle in your body aches, a dull, pervasive throb, as if you've spent the long, dark hours in a wrestling match with unseen forces. The air itself feels thin, hollow, carrying only the ghost of activity, a muted hum of a city slowly, reluctantly stirring from a night that was anything but restful. You press a hand to your forehead, feeling the faint throb of a headache, a physical echo of the tensions you endured. As you finally manage to rise, your feet meeting the shockingly cold floorboards, you hear it. The distant, intermittent clang of metal on metal, the sharp, splintering sound of wood being moved, distinct and jarring in the gray hush. It's the sound of damage, of hurried repair, the immediate aftermath of mischief night unfolding on the streets. You glance out your grimy window, seeing the faint, ethereal swirls of thinning fog still clinging to the lampposts, and a stark tableau of wreckage, an overturned bin, its contents scattered like refuse, a window boarded up with raw, hastily hammered planks. The cost in mere coin, the material damage, is already visible, tangible proof of the night's wanton abandon. You imagine the curses of the shopkeepers, the weary sighs of the householders, now facing the financial burden of rebuilding, of repairing the shattered illusions of their private, protected spaces. The cold outside feels sharper now, imbued with this sense of loss. You press your tongue to your lower lip, and the phantom ache, a dull throb, is still there, a ghost of the apple-bobbing incident. That sharp snap, the immediate gush of warmth, the metallic, salty taste of your own blood, it returns to you with chilling clarity. It's a small wound, easily forgotten in the grand scheme of things, yet it serves as a tangible reminder that even the most innocent revelry can carry an unexpected price. The physical toll of the night, from the cold to the exhaustion to these minor injuries, is an undeniable reality. You also catch a faint, almost imperceptible whiff of something metallic in the air, a whisper of the raw, coppery scent that clung to the vandalized house, a fleeting memory of the deeper, more sinister violence that stained the night. But it's the cost to your mind, to your very sanity, that weighs the heaviest. The spectral procession in the graveyard, the leering turnip face, the phantom kiss, the skull in the mirror, the raw, echoing cough of the child in the workhouse, the overwhelming presence of the projected ghost, they all swirl in a chaotic, unsettling kaleidoscope behind your eyes. Your mind feels clouded, filled with whispers of what was real and what was merely a trick of the light, a figment of an overactive imagination. Was the spectral figure truly there, or merely a shared hallucination? Did the dead truly walk, or was it just the cruel tricks of a tired mind? The lines have blurred, thin and fragile, leaving you with a gnawing uncertainty, a permanent seed of doubt planted deep within your perception. The very air you breathe now feels charged with potential, with unseen presences, forever altering the way you will perceive the world around you. The Halloween night, meant for playful frights, has exacted a deeper, more insidious toll. One measured not just in coin or blood, but in the enduring, unsettling echoes that will forever haunt the quiet corners of your mind. It's a strange thing to realize that some nights don't just pass, but leave an indelible mark, subtly yet profoundly altering the very landscape of your inner world. The first true hint of sunrise, a faint ethereal gold, begins to paint the very highest wisps of thinning fog, turning them from gray to a soft bruised apricot. You feel the slow, subtle shift in the air, a gradual easing of the bone-deep chill that clung to the night, as a new, cleansing coolness begins to assert itself. The pervasive stench of coal smoke and stagnant dampness, which felt so suffocating hours ago, now seems to thin, gradually yielding to a fresher, crisper breath of morning. Your body, still heavy with a profound, aching weariness, moves with a deliberate slowness as you step out from the dubious shelter of the alley, or perhaps from your own quiet doorway, onto the damp, cobblestone street. Each step echoes softly in the gradually lightening gloom, a small, solitary sound in the vast, awakening city. The street itself bears the quiet scars of the night, a displaced brick here, a stray crumpled paper there, vestiges of forgotten revelry or fleeting menace. You hear the distant, reassuring clop of a horse's hooves, far more regular and purposeful than the phantom taps of yesterday. A solitary bird, its song fragile and tentative, chirps from a soot-stained tree, a small declaration of the day's return. The light, though still weak, feels like a physical balm, slowly pushing back the clinging shadows, revealing the familiar contours of buildings, the solid reality of the street. You yearn for its full warmth, for the total banishment of the gloom that seems to hold so many unsettling memories. Your mouth is still dry, tasting faintly of anxiety, but a small, undeniable flicker of relief begins to stir deep within your chest. You walk, your strides slow and measured, towards the promise of the rising sun, towards the reassertion of the ordinary world. Your gaze drifts, almost unconsciously, to the shop windows, the sturdy oak doors, the secure-looking gates, finding a quiet comfort in their renewed sense of solidity. A stark contrast to the shattered glass and pried-open locks of hours ago. Yet, even as the light grows stronger, even as the city begins to hum with the familiar sounds of industry and daily life, a profound, lingering unease clings to you, like the last tendrils of the receding fog. It's a whisper at the back of your mind, a subtle prickle on your skin, the insidious echo of every unsettling sight and sound from the long, dark Halloween night. You reach the corner of the street, where the first, direct rays of the actual rising sun begin to break through the clouds, painting a fleeting warmth across the cold brick walls. You pause, the faint heat on your cheek a welcome sensation, a quiet benediction. But before you turn fully into the sunlight, before you fully surrender to the comforting illusion of safety that the new day brings, an old, deep-seated instinct takes hold. Without conscious thought, almost compelled by an unseen force, you twist your head. You cast one last, long, lingering look over your shoulder, back into the diminishing shadows of the winding street, back towards the place from which you've come. Your eyes sweep over the still damp cobblestones, the receding pockets of gloom beneath eaves and along alleyways, searching. You see nothing definitive, nothing tangible. Only the slow, steady retreat of the last stubborn shadows clinging to the brickwork, gradually fading into the encroaching light. Yet, the feeling persists, a chilling sense that something lingers, just beyond your sight, just at the edge of comprehension. That even though the sun rises, even though the night has passed, the things that stirred in the dark, the faces that haunted your perceptions, have not entirely vanished. They are merely waiting, dormant, absorbed back into the mundane fabric of the city, ready to re-emerge when the light inevitably fades once more. The profound exhaustion that clings to your body this morning is not simply physical. It's a deep, bone-weary fatigue that settles in your very soul, tasting faintly of the night's lingering anxieties. The sharp, acrid remnants of coal smoke, the cloying sweetness of rot, the metallic tang of blood, the searing bitterness of salt, they all coalesce on your tongue. A phantom aftertaste of the Halloween night, refusing to be washed away by the crisp, cool morning air. Your eyes feel gritty, heavy, and every muscle in your body aches, a dull, pervasive throb, as if you've spent the long, dark hours in a relentless, unseen struggle. The city, now fully awake, hums with its familiar mundane rhythm, but for you, the sounds are subtly altered, sharper, imbued with a new, unsettling resonance. You walk through the familiar streets, now bathed in the uncompromising light of All Hallows morning, and yet the world feels irrevocably changed. The fog has lifted, but the air still carries a faint, damp chill that seems to emanate not from the weather, but from within you, a lingering cold that settles deep in your chest. The rhythmic clatter of distant footsteps on the cobblestones no longer sounds like a normal passerby. It carries the unsettling, almost impossibly light tap-tap-tap of the unknown presence in the fog, always just behind you, always just out of sight. You instinctively glance over your shoulder, your heart giving a small, anxious flutter, half expecting to see a fleeting shadow, a glimpse of something that doesn't belong. The ordinary shop windows, now painstakingly repaired with raw, new planks, no longer feel fully secure. Your mind instantly flashes back to the sharp, sickening sound of shattering glass, the immediate, violent destruction of the night's mischief. You feel a phantom prickle on your cheek, a ghost of the microscopic shard that rained down, a lingering memory of breached sanctuary, of a world that can be so easily broken. You taste the sharp iron tang of fear, a constant companion that refuses to dissipate, a permanent residue of the night's unsettling discoveries. When you pass a group of children, their cheerful shouts now seem brittle, their innocent games overshadowed by the lingering image of grotesque, unmoving masks, their empty eye-holes fixed in an eternal, chilling stare. You remember the raw, unbridled laughter of the vandals, the wild energy that verged on pure malevolence, and the skull, that leering, silent skull in the looking-glass, its empty eye sockets seeming to follow you even now. An indelible image burned into your retina, a grim counterpoint to the lover you had hoped to see. The cold, unyielding rigidity of the corpse, the heavy weight of the bread and salt on its chest, returns to your mind, a profound reminder of the burdens taken, the solitude embraced. Even the memory of the immense bonfire, its searing heat and defiant roar, is now tinged with the primal fear of the unseen things that lurked just beyond its radiant circle, the vast, hungry darkness that seemed to watch, to wait. You recall the desperate, wheezing cough of the child in the workhouse, a sound that echoes like a death rattle in the quiet corners of your mind, a haunting reminder of fragility and suffering. The pitiful somber chant of the solars, their hungry, expectant faces, and the implied curse in a denied crust of soul cake, all linger. A quiet accusation, a testament to the chilling reality of poverty and despair. And the magic lantern show, the collective gasp, the eerie hiss, the moment the projected ghost felt all too real, its translucent hand reaching for you. It remains a vivid, terrifying replay in your thoughts, blurring the line between illusion and horrifying truth. Every shadow now holds a potential secret, every sudden sound a hidden meaning. The world has returned to its ordinary rhythm, but you have not.